preparing a table before me obviously, you are all very acquainted with this Bible verse. I also give thanks to God for preparing a table before me in the presence of my enemies. And for anointing my head with oil. And making my cup run over. I next have to give my thanks to my wife Lodina and my family, my children, my siblings, and all my extended family for standing by me through all these difficult times when victory and success appeared elusive and out of sight. On these gloomy occasions, you have all come through and offered me the encouragement to keep soldiering on. I'd like to thank the Vice President-elect, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, for being an exemplary and inspirational running mate. Nana, your decency, your humility, and your sense of responsibility added so much to this campaign. The eyes of every young girl and woman, not only in Ghana, but in nations across this continent and the world, are going to be on you from today. And as you said, you have not only opened the door, but you're going to keep the door open for many other women. Your name has become synonymous with breaking boundaries. And like I said, you have opened the door of opportunity for many of our female citizens. Because of you, the people of Ghana can today celebrate the fact that we have made history by electing our first woman as Vice President.
Yes, that history that has been made. In fact, the NDC's ticket for the presidency in this election just about a week ago has made history. We're talking about the first female vice president in the history of Ghana. That's Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. And then also the only former president to come seek re-election after losing an election and then winning. And it appears that if all the 276 constituencies results are put together, John Mahama may just be setting another record with the highest percentage of victory since the Fourth Republic, or the presidential candidate to have won with the highest number of votes since the Fourth Republic in this country. We'll wait for the Electoral Commission to do all it has to do with the remaining 9 constituencies, because bear in mind, the 56.55% that Jen Adokwe-Mensah, the chair of the Electoral Commission, announced that John Mahama has won this election with was without the results, the presidential results of some 9 constituencies. So some 267 constituencies results were what put John Mahama at 56.55. So we'll see how the coming days will look like. But there's a latest from the Electoral Commission, which we'll be getting to as we go on. Let me just give you an idea. It's not just the presidential ticket of the NDC that is on its way. In fact, that has actually made history. You look at the parliamentary results as well for the NDC. With all things remaining, or all things being equal, it appears that the NDC would also have what has been described as a supermajority in the 9th Parliament. But there are some seats that are being contended, results that are being contested, and then also some which the Electoral Commission itself is saying that it does not recognize because the declarations of the persons who won, according to the EC, did not follow laid down procedure. We'll get into all of that. But if you look at the regional breakdown of the various parliamentary victories, as in the MPs who won for the NDC, unprecedented as well. And we're going to show that to you. Some constituencies the NDC has never won. They won it in this 2024 election. Trends were thrown out of the window. The trends that we always would refer to do some kind of a projection of how the outcomes of an election will be. Look, this election rendered all the trends and historic analysis moot. Let's go to the Ashanti region, first of all, to start with. A total number of seats, 47 seats in the Ashanti region. Prior to this election, the composition of the 47 seats in the Ashanti region were the NPP held 42 of those seats in this 8th Parliament, with the NDC having 4 seats in the Ashanti region, plus an independent candidate, the former MP. Well, guess what? In this 2024 election, exactly a week ago, these were the people that you made. Let's go to the, well, start off first from the Western region. The total number of seats, 17. And you see quickly, in the Ashanti region, already there are 2 seats that are being contested. The Ahafo Southwest, no declaration has been made as yet, and the Ahafo North. That's the Tepa constituency. A number of you were asking what was happening, what has been going on with Tepa. Well, the Electoral Commission has not declared any results for Tepa as yet. That's not the only one in contention, at least for the Ashanti region. We've heard of Obuasi East as well, the MPP saying they do not recognize the declaration of the NDC candidate there as the winner of this election. So essentially, you're safe to say that per the composition right now, with this total number of seats and the ones in contention, the NDC has increased its tally, at least for now, from 4 in this 8th Parliament to 9. In fact, it will probably be 8. If you add the Obuasi East, it will be 9 to this 9th Parliament. And the MPP reduced to 36. The independent candidate is in the Ashanti North constituency, OK Frimpong. He defeated a member of parliament who is a friend of this program, talking about Andy Api-Akubi. Andy Api-Akubi is the incumbent MP for Ashanti North. He lost that election to this independent candidate who actually is from the NPP stock. He lost the primaries. That's for the Ashanti region. Let's go next to the Western region. The Western region has a total of 17 seats. Now, this is the composition going into the 9th Parliament. The outcome of this election result. There are no disputed seats in the Western region. The NDC has won 15 of these 17 in this 2024 election. Let's put that on the screen boldly. 15 of this 17, and the MPP just 2. The MPP holds just 2 of this election that we went into. And prior to this, it was nothing close to what we are seeing right now. The NDC swept seats in the Western region, 15 of them. In fact, some constituencies they've never won before. That, like their Sikado, Ketan constituency. In fact, if you say second D, maybe if you take out Albert Boson Chisam, who won second D constituency in the 1992 election, which was boycotted, the parliamentary was boycotted by the MPP, they wrote the stolen verdict. You can also talk about the Impoho constituency. The NDC has never won it before. Well, they won it this time around. That is what's happening in the Western region. The Upper East region, total number of seats, 15. Guess what? The NDC did not leave even one for the MPP. They won all the 15 seats in the Upper East region. Let's put that on boldly on the screen. 15 in the Upper East region. Prior to this moment, this was how the composition of the results were in the Upper East region. In 2020, the NPP was able to win one seat in the Upper East region. Guess what? The NDC has taken that seat back. So they have a total of 15 seats. Let's go to the next. And in fact, the story doesn't change. In the Upper West region, the NDC has won all 11 seats in the Upper West region. So those seats like Lambosier and Nandom that the NPP won in 2020, guess what? The NDC has taken those seats back. 11 over 11. So in 2020, the NPP held 3 seats in the Upper West region. Well, guess what? We are going into the 9th parliament with no seats in the Upper West region. Then we have the Northeast region. This is the home region of the flag bearer of the MPP. Northeast. They shared the spoils. 3 seats apart for the Northeast region. In fact, the Northeast region, prior to this election, the MPP held 4 seats and the NDC held 2 seats in the Northeast region. And it was really credited to the influence and mettle, the strength and the abilities of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. If you look at the trends, and I keep referring to trends that really were thrown out of the window now. If you look at the trends from 2008 when he first contested with Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the NPP had a good showing in the Northern region until now. So you look at this, Northeast, the NDC also increased their showing with an additional seat. Let's go to the next. Now, the Ahafo region. Guess what? In the Ahafo region, 6 seats. The NDC increased their showing with 5 seats up their sleeves going into this 9th parliament for the Ahafo region. And the MPP had just 1 seat. Prior to this moment, the NDC had just 2 seats in the Ahafo region and the MPP had 4 seats. So essentially they've lost 3 seats. And that's what the NDC has back with 5 seats up their sleeve going into this 9th parliament. The Bono region, total number of seats, 12. The NDC has won 11. And then the MPP was just with 1 seat going into this 9th parliament. That's for the Bono region, 12 seats in total. Prior to this moment, the NDC held 6 seats, the MPP held 6 seats in the Bono region. Well, guess what? After this election, that's the verdict, you have it there. NDC 11 seats, NPP 1 seat. Our guests are going to be joining us right now. For the Bono East region, total number of seats, 11. The NDC has won 10. And the NPP is yet to win any seat. The reason being, for the Techiman South constituency, the results are yet to be declared. That's for Martin J. Mensah Kosa, the Minister for Local Government, Rural Development and Decentralization. This is one of a number of seats that have not been declared as yet. So Techiman South is still pending now. The Electoral Commission says they're going to do something that we found out is not in law. CI 127 doesn't make any recommendation for recollation. So our lawyers, in fact, will help us get into this and what the Electoral Commission has been doing at this Tesano Police Training School. Let's go to the next. Now, look at the OT region. The NDC, again, like the Upper East, Upper West, they've won all the seats in the OT region. 9 in total. Going into this election, the composition of it in the Eastern region, we had the NDC 8, with the MPP having a seat there. Volta region, guess what? The MPP has won all the seats. The NDC, I beg your pardon, has won all the seats in the Volta region, 18. Well, they always describe the Hohoi victory by John Peter Amewu, the current minister in charge of railways development, as a loan. They only loaned the Hohoi seat to the MPP in 2020. Well, they've taken it back. They've had all 18 seats to their credit, as was the case. This is the stronghold, the World Bank of the NDC. 18 seats. Let's go to the next. Now look at the Greater Accra region. And look at this. For the Greater Accra region, even though a number of seats, and we'll have to put it on record, a number of seats are being disputed right now. Total number of seats in the Greater Accra region, 34. And then also, as we see it, the NDC, if the things play out as they are, would have 31 if results hold this way. 31 out of the 34 seats in the MPP 3. This is because the Electoral Commission, as of last night, has come out to indicate to us that they do not recognize the victory of Tema Central, Ebi Bright, Abelekuma North, Irabna Urban, and then also Okaikwe Central, Baba Sadiq. And then also they make reference to the Dom Kwabenya constituency. That's Faustina Akurugu. So these 4, the Electoral Commission says the declaration did not follow due process, but that is being challenged as to exactly what the Electoral Commission meant. Central region, total number of seats, 23. And guess what? 18 for the NDC. Prior to this election, the NDC held 13 out of the 23 seats. The MPP held 10 seats in the Central region. After this election, 18 seats for the NDC in the Central region, 4 for the MPP, and the independent candidate, that's A+. 1. Let's go to the next. Eastern region. The Eastern region, total number of seats, 33. And you will not get the full 33 if you add this, because there's a footnote which would explain to you. The NDC so far holds 8 seats in the Eastern region, and the MPP 20. There's an independent candidate in the Eastern region as well, which we'll be getting, we'll look into as we go on. But let's take a look at this. All of these things, how things have played out. The results that are being contested are the Akwetia constituency, the Suhum constituency, in Suam Adwejuri, Fantiakwa North. Akwetia constituency, the Electoral Commission 2 days ago declared it with the MPP candidate as a winner. Suhum, the MPP candidate, has been declared winner. In Suam Adwejuri is outstanding. Fantiakwa North, on Monday, the Electoral Commission declared the NDC candidate as the winner. Then on Thursday, the Electoral Commission came to do recollation, which is unlawful, and then made the NPP candidate winner. I say unlawful because we checked the CI 127. It has no bearing in law, which we'll get into. So this is how things look right now in the Eastern region. But bear in mind, we are also keenly following what the Electoral Commission will do next, because they've suspended the process until further notice. But we don't know what the next phase will be. Let's hear from the returning officer for the presidential results, Jane Adokwe-Mensah, when she announced the results of 267 constituencies out of 276. Take a look.
The voters of Ghana have spoken. They have expressed their choice at the polls, and that choice will today be upheld by the Electoral Commission of Ghana. As a commission, we have fulfilled our vowed aspiration to imbibe transparency, accountability, inclusiveness, and responsiveness at the heart of all our operations. And I can confidently say that with the help of God, we have fulfilled these aspirations and the expectations of the citizenry. We have conducted elections that are credible, fair, transparent, and peaceful. Elections that have ensured that the will of the people as expressed at the polls. The elections that have guaranteed that every vote counts. Ladies and gentlemen, now to the results of the 2024 presidential election. And the results will be announced based on the positions of the presidential candidates on the ballot. Mahamudu Bawumia of the NPP obtained 4,657,304, being 41.61%. Daniel Augustus Latte Jr. of the DCPP obtained 16,673, being 0.15%. Christian Kwabena Andrews of the Ghana Union Movement obtained 16,461, being 0.15%. Kofi Apalu of the LPG obtained 5,219, being 0.09%. Mohamed Frimpong of the National Democratic Party obtained 4,413, being 0.04%. Nana Akosua Frimpong of the CPP obtained 23,397, being 0.21%. Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the NDC obtained 6,328,397. Mr. Hassan Ayariga of the APC obtained 17,461, being 0.16%. Mr. Kofi Kranting, independent candidate, obtained 3,320, being 0.03%. Mr. George Chumberima Edu, independent candidate, obtained 3,091, being 0.02%. Nana Kwame Biediaku, independent candidate, obtained 84,478, being 0.05%. Mr. Alan Kojo Tremanting, independent candidate, obtained 31,202, being 0.28%. The total valid votes cast add up to 11,191,422. Total rejected votes, 239,109. Total votes cast, 11,430,531. In the light of the above, ladies and gentlemen, I have the singular honor as the returning officer of the 2024 presidential election to declare His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as the winner of the 2024 presidential election and the President-elect of the Republic of Ghana with a total percentage of 56.55%. Congratulations, sir. It is finished.
And that last phrase of "it is finished" also generated some conversation and why the EC chair decided to put it at the end of all of that. But that's the declaration of John Dramani Mahama, President-elect of the Republic of Ghana. with 267. 9 seats presidential results still outstanding. But let's take a look at what happened in the northern region. And then my guests who are just walking in, we'll introduce them briefly. Take a look at this. The northern region, 18 seats. The NDC won 11. NPP 7. That's for the northern region. Prior to going into this election, there was 9-9 each. But the NDC won additional 2 seats. For the Savannah region, 6 seats the NDC won, with the NPP winning just 1. The Damongo seat, as we indicated, which is the only seat that the Electoral Commission has declared for the NPP, is being contested. Adam Mutawakilu has indicated that with everything that's happening right now, he's going to contest the results of the Damongo constituency. The traditional leaders there also have given their blessing to that particular decision he's taken. So we'll see how things play out in the Damongo constituency. And the Coalition Center for the Electoral Commission, that was a court complex in West Gonja, was touched, was set ablaze in the Damongo constituency. 16 people have been arrested, 14 have been remanded into police custody as we speak. Now, a number of constituencies that the NDC won, that they have never won before. And we're going to show that to you right now. Some constituencies that the NDC won, which they have never won. And that's what is on the screen. The Dom Kwabenya constituency, Ablekuma West, that's Eslawusu's constituency. The NDC, since the creation of this constituency, never won it. Ayawaso Central. And then you have Tema West, Okaikwe South. For the Ayawaso Central constituency, we saw the minister in charge of Interior, former Greater Accra Regional Minister, Henry Korte, losing that seat. His deputy also lost her seat. That's in the Central region. Ashanti region, Adansi Aswa, Obuasi East, Ahafo Southeast. And then we also have in areas such as Accra, and then Obuasi East, which is also being contested, but the NDC won it, as you see there. Then in the eastern region, Ekwapem South, Obiamo's constituency, he didn't contest this election though. The NDC has won it for the first time. Upper West Achim, in the western region, Sekunde, Kwesimintim, Takwan Siaim, that's Andre Japamesa secondary constituency. And we also have, even if you add Esikado Ketan as well. Jogate didn't contest. The NDC won it for the first time. You can also add Kwesimintim, the Deputy Education Minister, lost that one. Takwan Siaim as well, as Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, George Mekuduka, lost that area as well. In Poho as well, in the western region, the NDC won it for the first time. And then when you look at the Bono region as well, Sunyani West, Doma Central, Doma East, in the central region, Ewutu Senya East, Asin Central, Kennedy Japon's constituency, he didn't contest this election, the NDC won it. Upper Denchira East and Ahafo, in the Ahafo region, a Sutifi North constituency. Well, joining me in the studio right now is a professor of political science at the University of Ghana, Legon, one who has written extensively about governance and democracy, not just in Ghana, but across the world. Professor Ransford Jampo, good morning to you. Welcome.
Morning. You see, I have heard some top echelons of the MPP still running their mouths to save their face, despite their incompetence, despite their arrogance, state capture, state property looting, wicked governance, and daylight robbery that have led to their unprecedentedly monumental defeat. But I believe in the existence of a strong opposition that will keep the current government on its toes, and therefore I would call on the owners of the MPP and those who know the party's tradition to rise up quickly to rescue the MPP from the claws of Akufo-Addo and his remnants, and to totally overhaul the entire national executives of the party, the entire national executives of the party, so that the party is restored to its tradition that has been destroyed by Akufo-Addo and the currently manipulable executives of the party, who in their bid to hide their failures and incompetence are going about offering very infantile explanations about how the party lost and why the party lost the election, instead of pondering in all sobriety about what to do next to stop the imminent and potential disintegration of the party. I warned them about the Alan's exit of the party and its potential of making them lose a lot of votes in the Ashanti region, but they never listen. I am warning them again that the party risks disintegrating if people do not come together to act to rescue the party from the claws of Akufo-Addo and his remnants, and to totally overhaul the currently incompetent and very manipulable national executives of the party. They will disintegrate. I'm warning them once again.
Prof, you said you warned them before this election.
No, I warned them about the exit of Alan, given the way and manner they were doing their things, and they said it was never going to happen. And when it happened, I warned them again about its potential impact on their electoral fortunes. They didn't listen. I'm warning them again that they should rescue the party from the claws of Akufo-Addo and his remnants, and ensure that the currently manipulable and incompetent party executives, national executives who are leading the party, they should be overhauled. Kick all of them out, and then let the party be owned by its owners. Let the party be restored to its tradition in terms of its composition and succession.
Okay.
The MPP has its own way of deciding who succeeds it. When Edu Buahene was vying for the flag bearership of the party, and Kufuor was contesting him, we know what happened. When the same was happening between Akufo-Addo and Kufuor, we know what happened. When the same was happening between Alan and Akufo-Addo, we know what happened. And so how come you allow your own tradition, succession plan and tradition to be truncated by other people? I mean, the party MPP is a conservative party. When we say a party is a conservative party, they have their own ways of doing things. And so you don't allow somebody to come and truncate, and when they won, you surround yourself with very manipulable and competent people who wouldn't listen. You have seen your smoothness level. We've warned you again.
Professor Rams, for example, thank you very much. That is if they have the consideration and the listening ear to hear you out this time around. The Honorable Samuel Nate George is Member of Parliament for the Ningo Prampram Constituency. He retained that seat with a resounding victory, a decisive one at that. Samuel Nate George, good morning, welcome, congratulations to you.
Good morning, Alfred, and good morning to our co-panelists and our viewers.
It's good to have you.
Yes, you are slim now. I mean, there was no pressure.
How did you know that?
I didn't work alone in my constituency. I worked in 30 other constituencies.
In fact, and that's one thing we'll get into, because before end of December 7, he was in other constituencies helping other people. It appears after 2 hours, that's around 7 p.m., he knew he had won. So he just left Ningo Prampram and was running around other constituencies, helping other people. But thank you.
I'm excited that some of the constituencies I went to work in, which we have never won before, were won by us. Ewutu Senya East won Kaswa.
You went to Ewutu Senya East?
Yes, I worked with Koyo. In fact, I was there the Wednesday before the election. That was the last two, there and then Ewutu Senya West were the last two constituencies. I went 29 and 30. I did a radio interview there, proceeded to meet with the Dangwe community. There's a huge Dangwe community in the Volta, East the Kaswa area. You know, there are huge Dangwe communities across the country, and so we really focused on them, met with them. There was that allegation that they had been voting skirt and blouse and all of that. And we decided this time that, look, we needed to work on them to ensure they normally vote for President Mahama and how Akum said. But this time to make sure that all the votes went to Nakoyo. And we're excited about what happened there. Sunyani West is another place that when Millicent had been trying and trying, I was there in 2020. I went back again this year. And I'm excited to see that Millicent is coming to Parliament. Everybody saw what we did relative to Okaikwe Central to ensure that Baba Sadiq finds his way into Parliament, and the same with the Rabina Obin and Ablekuma North. And so, yes, it's for me, it's an exciting time, but it's also a very reflective time.
Yeah. We'll get into that.
Yeah, and so
the message in the victory, we'll get into that in a bit. Martin Pebu is private legal practitioner. He is he's still one of the leader of the bondholder. He's still active.
Disbanded.
Still active. Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
And is the Kubi still there?
It's still there. The wash station. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Now, he's one of the foremost human rights lawyers we have in this country. He doesn't like this, but we know the records show it. Lawyer Martin Pebu, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Kasi. Morning. Me too, as usual. Let me do the greetings and then to fire up the base, right? Yeah, so as usual, I want to greet Gamanche, Kentucky Teku Churu the second. Gamanche, we greet you. Good morning. Gamanche says he wants justice for this matter of Cecilia Dapa, the matter of the money, too much money in one person's room, of millions of dollars. Gamanche is asking that we do the needful, that we bring Cecilia Dapa to justice. Very, very, very critical to make sure that public office holders would desist from such actions. I'm sure now that we've thrown out Akufo-Addo and his party, you hear more stories. And the reason why we must make sure that we hold public officers accountable. Number two, Johnson Esiedu, right? Auditor General, the matter of the 52.5 billion. We are waiting. We are waiting. That money that moved from GCB to unknown sources. We want to find that money. Johnson Esiedu, you can't continue to stay in that office if you can't find the money. I mean, come on, this is more than the money we borrowed from the IMF. Even if you use today's rate, even if you are using 15 or 16 or 17 Ghana, that 52.5 billion is more than what we borrowed from the IMF. So that money can't go missing. Then number three, Dr. Ajiman Bedu II, Domahini, we greet you. More fire. We want to hear more. We want to see more chiefs standing up when there is bad governance. And then finally, but not the last, so for Ekufu Yasantwa, yeah, we all know how much Yasantwa has been of immense help in our fight for better governance. We all know that Yasantwa is Akufo-Addo's relation, yet she never shied away. She's come up on critical matters from DDEP to the lithium mines and other matters of governance. Yasantwa, Sophie Kufu, thank you.
Martin, I want to complain publicly.
What?
Wait, you see, somebody has said that in recognition of the work that me and him, we've been doing for Ghana, the person has brought you a cow. And he said, you and I should share. Martin has given me just one thigh. One thigh of the cow. No, just one thigh of the cow.
The cow has 4 legs.
The cow has 4 legs. And so he sent that they should bring me one thigh.
He's beginning to behave like Cecilia Dapa in this matter of the cow.
You brought me one thigh. And so you must speak to that. Otherwise,
hey, Martin,
make a public promise. Because you cannot give me one thigh and then keep the rest of the cow.
He's kept the head.
The head.
He's kept the 3 limbs.
Everything.
Kept the chest, the back, the body.
One thigh.
it, but
but giving me one tie is unfair.
President Japan will talk behind.
No. The special prosecutor must be invited into this matter.
You cannot give me one tie and keep an entire cow. What do you mean?
I just gave her the cow. When I see Akubi, we are going to ask him about this businessman who brought the money to Parliament. No, the cow.
Bring the cow legs. You divide it into two. They said in recognition of what you have been doing.
You know, I usually give her this. I took 2 ties. That's all. So
and you gave me one.
The rest I gave her.
Where's the head?
2 ties.
No,
and gave me one.
The boy is my clerk and the rest. No. Just 2 ties.
Yeah, but who gave you the capacity to
distribute? In what capacity?
It's mine.
They said in recognition of us.
No, not
what we do.
Hey,
the donor. What did you say?
Mr. President, you can ask me.
Thank you very much.
I'll distribute.
Okay, so we will settle this matter after at the word. And we will see how things
Give me only one time.
But I will be cancelled for my friend if he's invited by lawyers.
Okay. Well, the man you just heard speaking is the incumbent Ashanti Achim North MP, and the Apiakobi, who lost in this election a week ago to an independent candidate, Ohene Kwame Frimpong. They call him OK Frimpong, a relatively young man. But you can agree he dealt a hefty blow to Andy Apiakobi with 26,926 of the votes, as against the Honorable Andy Apiakobi's 8,933. Honorable Andy Apiakobi, good morning, welcome.
Oh, good morning, my brother, and thank you very much for bringing me here this morning, and indeed coming to meet my friends who are also discussing inequity in the distribution of cow legs. Okay, yes, but we have introduced ourselves the subject matters that we probably want us discuss. I will also add this bit of management of public lands. Mm-hmm. It's so important to me. And also review of natural resource contracts in Ghana. These are 2 subjects that I am interested in discussing, because if we get out of poverty at all, we want to stop the loot of all forms. And the first one that I find is the perpetual loot of the state of Ghana through the natural resource allocations to companies and to investors, and the contracts that we execute, which are all not in favor of Ghana, because mostly people who represent us in contractual negotiations are either not interested in protecting the revenue accruable to Ghana, or are interested in themselves. We need to look at that. Public lands, the way we are distributing public lands, I think that there is a lot of inequity, a lot of unconscionability, a lot of greed and selfishness in the distribution, a lot of cheating of otherwise allodial holders of public lands. I think these areas we need to look at so that we can bring some sanity and equity into land administration in Ghana.
Well, just to make the point that don't say he lost his election. His defeat was state-sponsored. Okay, they sponsored his defeat for the kind of stance he's taking. Okay, against his own party. His defeat was sponsored.
I'm telling you, amount to same losing.
Well, no. I'm telling you, if you don't know, you didn't lose.
The party says they are going into introspection, regrouping to come back and so on. Have you started your own introspection process?
I had a jurisdiction to preside over Ashanti Achim North. So I would be, if I'm invited, I will submit my report on what happened in Ashanti Achim North, and it will be thorough. And indeed, as I promised the last time, I'm going to take time off to write my memoir and my participation in Ghanaian politics from school time when Martin was there up to now that I've done somehow some work in the national politics. I will do memoir and then catalog.
So you state all the reasons.
I knew them.
But why did you lose? Tell me.
Oh, well, there was an election. They were voting. And unfortunately, after the calculations,
you were defeated. You didn't lose.
I have lost. And I want to be a gallant loser. So much as there are issues to discuss, I think those issues will be for future generations to consider.
But you saw this coming, didn't you?
Well, the answer is yes and no. The yes is because there were some interest that was foreign in the scheme of things in Ashanti, but there were interests that were also not present when they ought to have been, and there were also interests that was hostile to my candidature. I need to admit that. But all put together, there was a process, and in the process, I did not emerge victorious.
Well, but, I mean, just as you indicated, there were interests at play that were foreign and alien to the interests of Ashanti Achim North. Have those interests prevailed?
Yeah, they prevailed through the election, but I'm not sure the interests are important now that the elections are over. So, but again, I don't want to overemphasize that because I should have anticipated all that in my decision to contest the elections. Having considered all that and having arrived at a decision to contest, I think I should be fine with the results.
But which interests are those? Which interests do you describe as alien?
Oh, no, now I've told you that they were, when I say alien, it means they were not within the constituency, but exogenous interests that I know. And I'm also very much aware of even national interests that didn't expect or didn't were not interested in my candidature. So
the governmental interest, not national interest. So you only confirm what Professor Jampo is saying.
Certain partisan interests.
You
say national interest. That's very ambiguous.
Where deploy state apparatus
Professor Jampo
to sponsor your defeats. Yeah. Because
Professor Jampo probably had eyes in my constituency
and the removal of Kenoforiata. And some people were not happy about that.
Definitely, you wouldn't imagine everybody being happy about a call for removal of a sitting finance minister. Certainly.
Yeah, but that was the right call at the time.
There were people who were interested in the fortunes of the existing finance minister also. So obviously, you will incur the wrath of such people. And I did.
Please, you have lost. So you say it as it is. And now, what are you protecting? Your Gary has poured into the sand already. So why are you trying to be diplomatic about this? Your party is now currently the most unattractive political party in the whole world. So why are you now? The MPP is the most unattractive political party in the whole world at the moment.
So I want to hear from you.
The next speaker of parliament is not going to say all those in favor say aye. He'll just say Eyezu, and the whole parliament will respond Eyeza.
Now, so Mr. Bekubi, yes. But you concede that your participation in this Ken Must Go campaign, in fact, your leadership in this Ken Must Go campaign cost you your seat.
Oh, not exactly.
But it contributed to.
It will be part, but it will not be the total because otherwise we will also give credit to the winner. We need to give credit to him and please the confidence he had even in contesting. We need to acknowledge that and also the effort he made also. But definitely my own shortcomings also came into play.
You agree that there was a governmental interest in your retention or defeat?
Of course, why would the government not be interested? Win or lose, the government should be interested because the government was my government and it's my party that was in government. So if the party was not interested in my candidature at all, why would they fail me? So when they failed me,
lost out
the presumption is that they were interested in the ultimate results. And therefore, you want to see the negative hands of my party or government, but I think that having endorsed my candidature, they ought to have made sure that
which they didn't.
The terrain was good and convenient and conducive.
But did they?
I didn't see that one. So I think let's not cry over spilled milk and let's move on. We'll bring lessons from the events, and then we will learn from them.
So the establishment did not support you?
Why will the establishment that did not appreciate my call support me? I didn't see any hand of the establishment favorably towards me. I didn't see.
I told you. It was not favorable towards you.
No, I didn't see establishment of me. Personally, I have been a member of parliament simpliciter without any connection to government ever since we called for the...
He wasn't even put on the board of a community day.
Oh, please. I did not engage you as council.
And there were people who were on 3 boards.
I did not engage you as council.
Vindictive.
No. Wait a minute.
You remember I said the example of Bafu Boni on the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
Bafu Boni voted against him in the 2012 election petition. And when the Kufuado came,
thank you for your
8 years, the way he tormented Bafu Boni, at a point he said Bafu Boni should resign. I sent the Attorney General to go tell Bafu Boni to resign. They pursued him, sir.
Martin,
He's
thank you very much for your contribution, but at least Albert is listening to me.
Yes. So I'm saying you are suffering Bafu Boni's experience. Bafu Boni syndrome. I like that. It's called the Bafu Boni syndrome.
Thank you, Council. So the underlying issue here is that, yes, you've confirmed that the establishment didn't support you because of the stance that you took about one key person in the establishment.
In fact, I made my position known to everybody through my committee. There was a committee, and I was only just the representative of that committee. And that whatever I said about then certain finance minister was the voice of the whole group. I don't know why I am singled out as the villain, and I was not, because I was only just communicating the decision of a group. So unfortunately, if you target and attack me for the communication or advocacy alone, what I can be guilty of is accepting to be the advocate. That's all. Beyond that, it was a decision to be communicated. Yeah. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I was the one chosen to do the communication. Yeah. And I did exactly that. So if there is any fallout at all, or targeting at all, the dividend ought to be spread through the whole group.
You're expecting that all 91 of you or so.
So if there was any people at all, and they gave us some 20 lashes, I'm sure people ought to share the spoils of it.
But this one, the lash has been given to you all 20.
By Eugene watching, he also lost.
Eugene, he lost at the primaries.
No. Eugene's case was different.
Oh, okay.
He lost at the primaries, but Eugene could have survived the primaries but for the extent of support given against his candidacy.
So it was just out to punish them.
Incidentally,
but history will judge you, right? Posterity will judge you.
No,
right?
but
You understand what I meant by the party?
But I made some recommendations to be made in our selection process. If it is not addressed, the selection process, if it's not addressed, we will continue to suffer some of this pain. And you see, the influence of money in the selection process is also another matter. And it gets to a time that you a single person, your arm is not as strong as the arm of the state, for example, if the state is pursuing you. And let us also not forget that even in government, governments prefer certain candidates to others. It happens. Yeah. So if I'm an unfortunate victim of such circumstances, I think I need to rethink of the political landscape and my personal participation. And indeed, I would want us to regerminate the seed of MPP and grow it. I don't want to be party to people who want to destroy it. I have suffered for myself, I don't mind, but let us make sure that the right things are done in the party so that we can bring the party back to where it belongs.
You don't want to be part of people who want to destroy the party?
No.
Why? There are people in there who want to destroy MPP?
But where we have reached, having waited, destroyed enough, but I don't want us to continue to destroy. I want us to build a watershed and think of coming back as a party. But the infighting, the greed, selfishness, arrogance, and all that brought us here, we need to begin to learn from our mistakes. Look, there are times when you, a member of parliament, will call your colleague minister and he will not pick a call. Not even listen to what you are going through or what you want to say. You see, and certain persons, when they got appointed, they became demigods, untouchables. You won't listen to their own deputy ministers. They won't listen to them. Can you imagine? And they forget that all of us go about hunting for the power. And when we go hunting for power and we get the power, people become too powerful for the people who procure the power. And therefore will not even listen to them. And it goes up to, I don't blame the ministers because the same attitude was shown to us by the president. When we wanted to share our views with him on what our constituents were telling us.
About Kenneth Oriata?
Yes, he won't listen to us.
He didn't listen to you?
He would not listen to us. So if our ministers were not picking our calls, then how would you blame them? Because it's the same attitude transcending the whole presidency. Yeah, from the whole political perspective. And some of our ministers were too arrogant, too pompous in office. Wouldn't pick calls from me. In fact, on our platforms, I kept bashing some of them because I thought that they were behaving, untowardly towards colleague members of parliament and, of course, members of government.
Some of the city ministers were arrogant.
Very.
Very arrogant.
Very, very, very. Very arrogant.
So you agree that arrogance of power cost you?
Well, it is part. You see, when you show disrespect to the ant has a way of responding back to you. Yes, you think that the ant is very feeble, you can just destroy it, but when you show him the ant disrespect, when you sleep, it will go under your mattress, and you see what will happen to you. You may be the greatest person on earth, but we all have our limitations. So if you don't show respect to the vulnerable, when they regroup, they are dangerous. And this is what will happen.
Greed and selfishness.
Yes.
On the part of who?
Listen, when you are in office and you want to, you have access to projects, even developments, funding, you need to think equitably and look at the whole country for yourself. You are a minister who will be in charge of a project and will want to plant all the projects in his constituency. What is that? Forgetting that his constituency alone cannot give you the power that you enjoy. So if you plant all projects in your constituency, know that the next constituency will vote against you. So it will negate the so-called gain that you have because you have planted.
There was no one in the government at the presidency to call that minister to order, to tell that minister that you cannot.
Yes, going forward. Going forward. Let them learn from the experiences that we have. That, but I know Julius is a fine guy. He's my friend. I know that he will not preside over a situation where people will just take all and leave others. You see, in the Ashanti region, you go to one constituency, for example, you will see total lighting. You slip into the next constituency, total darkness. What is the story? You are telling the constituents there that your MP is not a good person. But you forget that when that MP loses, it will also negate your gains in your constituency. And sometimes, out of anger, people even in your constituency will sympathize with the losing MP and just not also perform for you. So it's important for us to be brothers keepers even when we have power and authority. So that's the lesson that we need to learn. You see, when we were commissioning interchanges in Greater Accra, with a presumption that will influence voting patterns in Greater Accra.
That was
forgetting the fact that the only interchange that President Kufuor had started had not been improved upon from the time that President Kufuor left office. Then the interchange FIBA jumped Kumasi and reached Tamale. Well, well and good, they also need some. But they forget that when you need to eat, it's your mother that you go to. So when you are resourceful, you need to look after your mother. So the vote from Ashanti region was a protest vote against that. Well, you may not like us, but as long as you use our equipment, look after us so that you can continue to use our equipment. It is not about loving us or not loving us. It's about what you need to sustain yourself. So if the vote in the Ashanti region is what you need to sustain ourselves in power, make sure that Ashanti region is important also in your distribution.
I see. So
even yesterday I was blaming the Ashanti Regional Caucus in Parliament that we didn't do enough. In fact, we should be more aggressive towards our distributing ministers than we did, because personally, I was not happy the way the whole region was featured in the scheme of things, particularly in distribution of projects. So the display of affluence in Greater Accra was causing pain in the Ashanti region.
So when you heard the party say they are targeting 85% in the Ashanti region, how did that
they are targeting? Yeah, the targets, you are not wrong if you target high, but you may be wrong if you don't do the right thing to get to your target. You see, so targeting anybody at all can target, but the deliverables will not equate the targets if you don't perform. Sitting here, I can target getting out of here, going to a restaurant to eat, but it depends on your pocket. If you get there, your pocket will not allow you to open the door.
Any idiot can target. Say it.
No. You see, my mouth cannot accommodate profane.
All right. Any idiot can target. Stop it.
It's not profane. There's nothing profane about it.
Idiot is a great word.
It's not profane.
It means somebody who does not participate in politics.
The only listen. The only
idiot can target.
The only situation I disagree with my friend Honorable Sedun Ketia is that idiots don't go to court, because the processes require some level of intellectual capacity to be able to file a process. So once the person conforms to the rules of court and files a process, you are no more an idiot. Martin, alike. So when he says any idiot can go to court, I say please. The court platform is not for idiocy.
Thank you, and I'll come to you. So you're
saying just one comment. They say the person Apia Kubi doesn't want to talk about Samuakwata when it comes to the roads.
Somebody said
minister for roads. He didn't
He's a
give
former
you roads.
minister.
Former minister for roads. He didn't give you roads in your constituency.
Well, he was a minister, and he presided over the distribution. I'm not sure he had a free hand to do what he wanted to do. So he was a fine man. At least one thing I'll give to Honorable Amakwanta was that he always showed respect to his colleague MPs who came to visit. But whether you were going to get what you wanted was another matter.
He had the finest language to welcome you.
Yes, to welcome you.
But make you all the promises in the world.
Typical politician.
But the fulfillment of those promises is a different subject.
I remember I met you once in his office.
You met me in his office once.
We were both chasing
roads.
Projects.
Yes.
And, he got us in.
I'm happy you raised this, because, there are people who say, Sam George was banned from any development because he was always insulting NPP.
Let's give to him.
Amakwata will always welcome him.
Let's give to him what he deserves. He was so polite to his colleague members of parliament.
We all called him Wafa.
And then let us, the other ministers who are coming, also learn from him at least that trait of showing respect to colleague ministers. He was so respectful towards us, except that he couldn't deliver most of the promises, as my friend is saying. But let's also investigate.
But delivered for Chebi. Ekufuado's hometown. Go and
about
all the roads.
Investigate why he couldn't deliver.
Yes. All the roads in Chebi.
What is left for us to do is that let's investigate why and how he couldn't even deliver on the promises he gave us. I think that But who are you? If a president says do my road, who are you to say I won't do it?
Well, you have diagnosed your own defeat, and in fact, the party's poor showing, shambolic, somebody has described it, in this election. You say disrespect, right?
My sympathies go to Dr. Bawumia, though, because some of the time he was paralyzed.
Was paralyzed?
Yes. Listen to me. We came into office in 2017. 2017, Dr. Bawumia was behind Oforiatta in the presentation of the budget. Mm-hmm. And indeed, they were even conferring when questions were being packaged by my colleagues on the other side. They were conferring, knowing that he was sharing information with him. 2018, he was there. And indeed, he came to the motion to discuss the budget. He was there and contributed. 2019 too. 2020, we didn't see Dr. Bawumia. So I asked questions in our caucus meeting, and the questions didn't bring me the required answers. 2021, the man didn't come again.
The expansionary year, Bank of Ghana said that year, we were doing expansionary spending.
And then, so on the private meeting, I asked, Doc, we are discussing the budget. We haven't seen your hand in it. And he laughed. You see, he's that kind of person who will take the pain and will not respond to it. He's that type of person.
That's not good.
That is not good. Yeah. He was keeping too much of the hurt inside.
So he was hurt.
Oh, you could see from him, his face, my friend, when I see something I talk about it. He's always smiling, but behind, if you look through his eyes, you will see the pain behind the smiling. Oh. So 2023 too, he didn't come. And I'm very sure that he wasn't going to come 2024. But again, so all this, what I can say is that, in fact, part of the reason that we said he must go was that Ken was not responding to advice from even the economic management team. Dr. Bawumia was supposed to be chairing the committee. Mm-hmm. How many times would they call? And I know for a fact that the doctor would have to go to Minister of Finance in his ministerial office instead of the Vice President inviting him. He grew too pompous for his own good.
Of arrogance.
How?
You see, so when you have a system that has turned upside down like that, you don't expect that system to generate the required results. You see? So, but let me commend Dr. Bawumia too for the patience he had. I wouldn't have survived that kind of treatment. And a whole sitting vice president would have to respond to a call by a minister of state. But the man was too powerful. So if you won't go, you won't get what you want.
You see, Oforiatta was powerful than Bawumia.
Too powerful than even the president. President would tell him to go and do this. He would say, no, that lie, it won't happen.
Oforiatta was powerful than the president.
He came to our meeting and said that I procured this victory for us. That was the first time I stood up and said, my friend, what are you saying? Excellent. I didn't see your hand in Ashanti Achimnov.
Excellent.
So if you help people, procure victory, I didn't see you in Ashanti Achimnov. It cannot be a case that you, as a singular person, procure victory for everybody.
He said that.
And then he sat back. And and that was the beginning of my advocacy. And that was the beginning of my selection as a spokesperson for the group.
So the system turned upside down, disrespect, greed, selfish, arrogance of power. Council?
Yes.
How does
but talk about also the accommodating nature of Dr. Bawumia.
Okay. And accommodating
we don't need that. Well, you see, Accra fought Rollins. One time, they fought. We don't need that. In a democracy, you have to stand up and fight.
But what we will also say is that let them not treat or those of us who vent it out as the devil.
Villains and
because if they had listened to us at the time that we saw what was happening, and indeed, let us commend also different groups of people. The clergy, many times.
Hey,
Let me also acknowledge the contribution of the Council of State, the chairman of Council of State. He called us. He had open meetings with us. Let's acknowledge that.
They were encouraging the bad things. This in the same meetings.
You've made your point.
We're encouraging bad governance.
Martin Pebo on this, because there are a number of things you have said. Yes, which you've just made your point on that. Your advocacy on this.
It's not the same Council of State.
Because you says Ken Ofrata is even more powerful than the president. Disrespect, system turned upside down, greed, selfishness, arrogance of power. Council, what's the message in this defeat for you, and what exactly, in your view, contributed to that hefty blow the NPP has suffered in this election?
You see,
no, I mean, yes.
You know, the number one thing is the economy. They say the first human instinct is what? Self-preservation. So when the government comes and then cannot put together a good economy to make the ordinary man survive, then you know that you are certainly already on your way out. You know how we've come here with cocoa, with kenke, etc. Kenke that used to cost 1 cedi and some 1 cedi 50 pesos now is selling for between 5 cedis and 7 cedis. The cocoa example is brought here. You know, so many examples. So once the economy was not being managed in a way that would benefit all Ghanaians, but rather was just benefiting Akufo-Addo and his family and a few people around him, then he knew that this day was always coming. It was always coming. Yeah, it was always coming. And they brought it upon themselves. But have you ever seen anything like this? That a president comes in and he makes his brother finance minister, Ghana borrows, and then your family gets a cut. Ghana borrows, then your family gets a cut. What nonsense. So it was always coming. The Ghanaians have been patient too. And, you know, I didn't have patience for that. We should have kicked them out in 2020, except that, you know, for so many reasons, of course. But now we are maturing. So next time, we'll be looking to do 4 years. And as a fact, at this stage, I'm beginning to subscribe to the school of thought that in 2020, NDC must have won the elections, but you know, this turning of votes and etc. But I'll leave that for another day. So the key thing is the economy. Like they say, is the economy stupid? Is the economy stupid? Meaning that that's the first point of call. Because if you are dying, how are you going to come out and support a party that's killing you? You remember the DDEP were giving haircuts left, right, center. You remember Professor Ejekum, Kama, Michael Ejekum, the owner of Kama Industries, right?
He's late now.
He's dead. He's dead. The bad policies have killed him. People's businesses have been what? Run down. Banking licenses revoked. Where the Dufours, other banks, Heritage banks, sovereign banks, etc. Yes, it's true. They did wrong things, right?
In some fund management companies as well.
Yes, fund management, etc. They did wrong things. But usually, because of jobs, etc., you look to do a restructuring or do policies in such a way that you save the bank, so that you save people's jobs. But this government was just interested in killing opposition businesses. So you know that the Dufours are strong financiers of the NDC. So they thought that by bringing down Unibank, then NDC would be what? Starved of oxygen, and so they would never be able to return to power, etc. And many other businesses, right? Yeah, I know people, once they were perceived as NDC, they were targeted. So it's the economy that's number one. Then also, number two, is the bad governance. You know how we've sat here and complained about bad governance, you know, from day one. Akufo-Addo, and even the bad governance ties in with the bad management of the economy. Because you see how Bank of Ghana was forced to print 60 billion for the government when it shouldn't have been done. They didn't get the necessary parliamentary approval. They were supposed to inform Parliament, etc. They didn't. And so you remember at a point, I mentioned that, listen, the governor, Addison, couldn't have printed all that money for Akufo-Addo without benefiting. And I was asked to withdraw on this platform. And I told them, no, it's insane. From the norms of plausibility,
if you see a governor printing plenty money for a government like that, the governor will benefit.
So
he said no.
They said that they did it to, as it were, save the economy at the time. Because of the impact of the DDEP, the Bank of Ghana, being the lender of last resort, had to absorb a bigger share of the impact. Other than that, the economy would have collapsed.
Good. I don't believe it because there were other ways of going around this. Now, do you remember that not long after that, Okujeto came out with evidence that the governor was giving land, the dollar regions, is it cantonments, was giving land. So me, I knew it. Good land, that's money. You know how much a plot of land costs in cantonments, airports? You're looking at over $200,000. So I knew it because I knew that, listen, for a governor to be printing money like this for Akufo-Addo, he must be benefiting. Today, you see, so I can repeat it. Governor Addison, you benefited. Okujeto is shown it. You've not denied. The Bank of Ghana came. They were now trying to give explanations that, oh, every governor gets it. Well, we don't have the case of the previous governors before us. Okay. What we have before us is that, Addison, you printed money for Akufo-Addo, and subsequently we found that you got land. That land that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so you benefited. I'm sure that's even just a tip of the iceberg.
So would you want the next government to look into this?
Oh, absolutely. Hey, it's there. It's in the Mama 120-day social contract, right? So that is what you should be looking at. Bank of Ghana has to be properly investigated. For all those things.
With the other one?
Yes.
You were diagnosing the issue?
Yeah, we're
No.
Okay.
No. You cancel, please.
Okay.
No.
I should continue. Okay, good. So now, apart from that, you would also find that over a period of time, you know, the JM factor, what happened is that with the way Akufo-Addo misgoverned, then it dawned on us that JM is a lesser evil. That's the plain truth. And you know, we had always been saying it here. You see, it's like, listen, you have a bigger evil, the MPP led by Akufo-Addo. Then you have a lesser evil, the NDC led by JM. So when things happen like that, naturally, we want to reduce our losses. We want to mitigate the harm that is being caused to us. So it's just rational that you go for the lesser evil. Because like I said in one of the videos that went viral, it's not as if Angel Gabriel was in this election. No, Gabriel was not standing election, all right? So there was no angel. We're left with two parties led by two human beings. So you look at it and you see that, hey, Akufo-Addo, you give him a third term through Baumia and we'll suffer more pepper in our eyes. Okay, what they had already done is as if that's not enough. So voting for Baumia meant that we're inviting more pepper, triple or quadruple pepper into our eyes. Who wants to do that? Or put it in another way, like the way we said, it's only a fool who allowed somebody to step on his testicles twice. So these people haven't stepped on our testicles. Oh, it's not profane, it's true. No, when somebody is on your testicles, you feel it. You wouldn't want to do anything that will let him come again and torment you, right? So it's just rational beings, okay, who would think to do things that will give us more benefit than harm. You reduce your losses, you reduce your pain, you reduce all the negatives. Mitigation. So mitigation, that's it. So these are largely, of course, we are not discounting the role that ethnicity and religion, those things play. Okay, but you know that from some of the researches, they usually would put that a bit below, but don't discount it. Don't discount it. You remember Owusu Bimpa, who supported Akufo-Addo, but in this election, no. Initially, he said Baumia cannot be president. Then later, I'm sure they went to see him, so he recanted all of that. We don't know what happened, and then last minute, he went back to his original position. He said the Akufo-Addo boys were insulting him. And I watched one of the videos where Owusu Bimpa said, Yabeshe. True. And he was signaling to his church members not to vote for Baumia. And other religious leaders say, no, don't vote for Baumia. And Baumia also actually attempting to be more Christian than Christians didn't help him. Yeah, he was trying to be more Christian than Christian. Entering every church, going to every shrine. Apart from even being Christian, he was trying to be a traditional worshipper. They're going to every shrine in Ghana. So when you enter too many shrines and churches, you annoy Muslims because listen, they complain. Even Chief Imam's aides, Arimiyao. He said no. What is Baumia doing? They are religion. Be proud of your religion. Listen, me, it's just about what you offer on the table. You just came at the wrong time. God forbid, in 8 years' time, when we are looking for alternatives, and then Baumia, because he helped Akufo-Addo in corruption and the way he himself is corrupt, I don't want him to be. But if to come back, Baumia is equally corrupt.
If he's come back,
if in 8 years it turns out that maybe Baumia's corruption now looks smaller than somebody's corruption, we will have to go back to Baumia.
But should that be the criteria?
That's the number one thing. Listen, corruption distorts all the economic principles.
If the corruption is lower than other, not that the person offering himself should be incorruptible. You're saying if the person is, the corruption is lesser than the other candidate, then we look for the other. Shouldn't we be aspiring for an incorruptible candidate?
Exactly. So meaning that if it turns out that all the candidates we have, at that time, we see that Baumia's corruption is the least, he will win. Just like in this election, we saw. And in this election, please, viewers, I'm sure we've mentioned the data, but let's just repeat. In 2016, when we're going to the elections, we were using the 2015 Corruption Perception Index figure for Ghana. That year, 2015, JM got 470, and yet we touted him as the most corrupt president. He and his presidency, his ministers and they were so corrupt. Meanwhile, the mark was 47. Please Google it. In 2015, what mark did Ghana get for the Corruption Perception Index? And it's the most used one, right? We have accepted it in Ghana globally. There are other indices, but in Ghana, we have accepted the CPI, right, by Transparency International and Amnesty International Ghana, the Ghana chapter, etc. So we use 47. Now, going into election 2024, if you look at Akufo-Addo's Corruption Perception Index for 2023, it's at what? 43. 43. So, JM, who had 47 in 2015, which was used for 2016, the reason it happens is that each year's grade comes in the following year. Around March, February or March the following year. So 2024 like this, it will come next year. Yes, so we're using 47, and we said these were the most corrupt people, JM and people, Sam George is here, etc., right? And we booted them out. 2024, you are going to the election, and Akufo-Addo and Baumia have 43. So naturally, you will not vote for Baumia. It's rational to go for the man who had 47. And do you know, let's repeat again, that since Akufo-Addo came, he and Baumia, their highest mark has been 43. For the past 4 years, 2020, 21, 22, 23, they've been on 43, 43, 43. And coincidentally, that's the lowest mark that JM got. That's the 2016 mark, which came in 2017. So, and so many other things. The ambulance contract for Akufo-Addo's daughter and son-in-law and all those people. Come on, it was so nauseating. You're like, is that the pa Akufo-Addo? Akufo-Addo who came and sat down, he's insulted every president. No president before him was ever fit for that office. It was always like, he's the best thing that's to happen to Ghana. That's how come I subscribe to the view that yes, it's good, though it's painful, that he finally became president and now he's seen his real size. But except that Ghanaians have paid a very high price, because now look at the economy.
So you subscribe to the diagnosis of Andy Appiah-Kubi that disrespect, the system turned upside down, the arrogance of power, greed, selfishness, and Kenneth Reata being more powerful than the president.
Oh, absolutely. But the president was now telling chiefs to get up and greet him. Then he told the chief of Aplau, when the chief mentioned that E-blocks that JM had constructed were abandoned, so he should come and complete them. He said, that's why he told the Ohini, right? And many other chiefs. You remember the Ekunfi area? When they came, Akufo-Addo could look them in the face and say he denied the people development because they didn't vote for his candidate. Is that not so? You remember?
Yes.
Yes. If the producer, Abdallah, if you want to play the tape, play it, let Ghanaians see. A president telling breaching the constitution when the constitution says that development should be even. Every part of Ghana should get its share of the national cake. Then you say no. For you, once somebody is not voting for you, neglect those areas, right? And of course, the Kumasi people, he said you build 5 interchanges, right? 6, some even say 6. So whether you say 5 or 6, he didn't deliver, right? So you look at it everywhere and you see that it was just failed promises, the arrogance, the TV3, open TV3. Kennedy Japan said it, that they were looting us like there's no tomorrow. And right. You see why, so I wanted us to get them out so that we open up all the stories, all of that. And so today it's coming to play. So it's an amalgamation of all these factors. It's not one single factor. It's an amalgamation.
I see. And joining us now is a former General Secretary of the NPP. He's led the NPP into an election. He knows exactly how it is to win and lose. But before this election, way before this election, he saw what Andy Apiakobi is seeing now and decided to join another force or movement into this election. He's one of the leading members, in fact, and a senior advisor to Alan Kojo Chamanting, the leader of the Movement for Change, talking about none other than Nana Ohening-To. Nana, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Alfred.
It's been a while.
Yeah, sure, I've been busy.
You've been busy.
Doing diagnosis.
Doing what? Doing what?
I see. But welcome back anyway.
Thank you.
It didn't go as you expected.
No, it didn't.
But maybe we were hoping you even cross 1%, but it didn't happen.
But you see, the most important thing that Alan and all of us stood for was change. I mean, change can be measured. We wanted a certain type of change, some quantum of change. But by the end of the election, the status quo was not maintained. So, I mean, at least in some sense, there is change.
Right.
It was not as dramatic, as transformational as the movement for change in Alan Chamating and some of us would have wanted to see. But it was very clear that if Ghanaians had voted to maintain the status quo of MPP, that would have been major disaster.
Major disaster?
Major disaster.
Oh.
And some of us had said that, and I did give specific factors when I spoke to one of your sister stations. I said, if in the face of the level of corruption that we are seeing, real or apparent, if in the face of this level of arrogance of power, if in the face of the level of mismanagement and economic hardships, if in the face of the Galamsey menace and the destruction of our resources, natural resources, and so many other factors, NPP could win an election, then Ghana was finished. And that indeed, these people in NPP will never respect Ghanaians again. And I did send a clear message to the people of Ghana that I think I have a clear sense of what the recent history of our politics and our governance is. I have some experience, and I want to advise. And I'm very personally happy, even though my candidate, preferred candidate, Alan Chamating, did not make such an impact. That fundamental principle of a change and the fact that this government needed to be told, this party, MPP, needed to be told that you cannot continue to take people for granted and still get them endorsing you. I think that I'm very, very happy about the outcome of this election. Of course, JM, the President-elect, His Excellency President John Mahama, people don't know this. He's been a very personal friend, not in MPP, not in PNDC, way before PNDC politics. In the 80s, when he came to do his internship from the School of Communication Studies, before I went there, he came to the TV newsroom. And I worked very closely with him, helping him through newsroom practice and so on. That is where we became friends. At the time,
GBC.
In GBC. At the time, he was working with Plan International. And when he decided to enter politics towards the end of the 80s into 1991, I was the person he approached to take over his job at Plan International. He, in fact, did introduce me to the director of the program. I went and had a chat with them. But I decided that I wanted to stay in media. So I told John, I said, well, I still enjoy TV. I want to continue. So since then, if I meet His Excellency John Mahama now, there's a code name that we use for each other in the newsroom. That's what he used to call me.
Which is what?
I won't tell you. You've got to get into the newsroom.
Yeah.
You know, so, but getting back into our own politics and governance, as Martin was saying, clearly, what we have got is the lesser of two evils. And it is very sad, though, but we are stuck with it. But the other thing that I really want to note with respect to Alan's entry and the turnout is that even though Ghanaians will complain about certain things, when you ask them to change it, they will find other reasons why they want to hold on to what they themselves are complaining about. Okay. And it's quite a complicated phenomenon in our society, in our politics. You know, a majority of the people, look, if you talk to 10 people in the streets during the campaign, at least 5, 6 people will tell you, oh, Alan is the best person for the job, but he's not going to win. And I said, but how do you reconcile the two? So it will mean that a certain culture of the duopoly is so deeply entrenched. A certain sense of multi-party democracy, multi-party, and the word is party, is entrenched, to the extent that even the big institution that manages our elections processes, the Electoral Commission, was basically practically refusing to recognize in real sense any independent. I mean, we basically had to fight Electoral Commission to recognize that there are independents. They would have recognized you on paper.
Right.
But when it got to relating, it was a different matter. So there was this entrenchment of party. Right. And there was the difficulty of people moving from that position of entrenchment. So really, a lot of those dynamics I saw coming into play. But at the end of the day, as I said, there is some change. As far as I'm concerned, it's quite cosmetic.
Right.
This change is not really dramatic. But for now, I think most Ghanaians will say this should definitely be better than what the NPP had been serving Ghana for almost 8 years.
So this greed and selfishness, you saw it in the NPP?
It went to an extreme. It's never been seen in our recent history, in our recent politics before. I don't want to talk about the personal aspects of it, but everybody gets a sense of it. I mean, when Martin has referred to some of it, when party leaders will tell you that the NPP has 1 million ways of winning election, I mean, it means that it doesn't even matter what they did or what they did not do. Yeah. They just have a way of winning elections, and that's it. Whether you like it or not, we're going to win. And when you do things like that, you think people are not listening. You think people are not thinking and watching. It was such an insult. So I was very happy that in NPP's own stronghold, a lot of people were just quiet.
Ashanti region.
They were just waiting. And the results showed that, well, you can insult us for 4 years. On one day, we will tell you that we are the ones who decide. And the president initially will say things like, I cannot hand over to someone I had beaten in a previous contest, which covered both Alan Chamating and President John Mahama. Because internally, in the party's primaries, let's say that over the period, President Akufo-Addo had beaten Alan Chamating, so he had beaten him in contests. And then also, in a general election, President Akufo-Addo had beaten John Mahama. So it was clear that between John Mahama and Alan Chamating, Akufo-Addo was not ready to hand over to any of them. So who was he ready to hand over to? Of course, it was Bawumia. And then people had to criticize him and bash him and attack him to the extent that now he had to come back and say, oh, okay, whoever wins, grudgingly, I will hand over. And now he was telling others, telling John Mahama that John Mahama should accept the outcome of the election. And I was like, I don't think this president really understands the position of a president. If we made you a president, it doesn't, no, You see, President Akufo-Addo was behaving as if he went to war and conquered Ghana. It wasn't as if he had won an election, you know. And some of those things, I think, it got to Ghanaians. And Ghanaians began to tell themselves, let's wait. Let's keep it cool. Let's bide our time. And on election day, we will speak very loudly and very clearly to this party and to this president who clearly doesn't respect us. I think it is one of the biggest reasons why we see this kind of outcome. Because, I mean, it almost sounds unnatural for MPP to have lost. Because MPP is not a small party. The incumbent party. Losing such level of votes, you know, these are things
number of seats over 1.5 million.
The evidence for me is not difficult to find. The very attitude of the leadership of that party. And mind you, even their own internal democratic principles had been totally violated.
The internal principles
of MPP. I mean, if you are going to go for an internal primary to select members of parliament, to select presidential candidates, and the signal goes out from the presidency especially that these are people I cannot work with, don't retain them in parliament. Whoever is seen openly supporting particular candidates, Alan Chamateng and the rest of them, you get penalized. I mean, I don't want to go back into all of those things. Those who deny it is up to them. But the evidence is there for so many other people who are even outside of the MPP to see. Now, when you do that, you actually weaken your own party structures and strength. So it is no wonder that eventually, when the elections are held within the community, within the constituency, the people will speak and tell you, the people you have foisted on us are not the choice that we make. So we will decide otherwise. Some of these things, I think, have really contributed, especially to the MPP's loss of so many seats. That one, the local dynamics.
All politics is local indeed.
Yes, yes.
Well, Mr. George, you see, being at the winning side obviously comes with excitement. But you made a statement earlier that this is a victory that gets you to be reflective and think about what to do differently. These are the sins of the administration that you have defeated so heavily. How does this victory really get to you?
Well, Alfred, before I go into that, let me, in my introductory comments, I made reference to the work I did across the country in about 30 constituencies, largely with Dangwe communities. Let me say thank you officially to them in our mother tongue. Dangwe from being ngegana makla ike muneno ingenya de manyeba ne ingenya sinam saminya ka nyena ka nyebuwotwe na wabananye ne wake wagbefonya hemio nyebuwotwe saminya na nyefonso ka ha ajobia party ne muneno kuni yempe wano ke chapinya ne nyefin wasio ina wakuni yemio eko bele kambeneba ke jenugo ke gbubla mame ke adangwe mame kla se osudoku klo ada ke wa dangwe zuban kla ke dangwe bi nenge hefen asin central asin north hefen western region eastern region sinama gbojinye no maune jonye saminya de maune petewa ninge hem kayem ka NDC o ma yewo na ema dibo bebine wahuno yuomo angbewa ikefosi maune jonye nyechumka
Ochum openo. Let's proceed.
And now, to the issue of the victory, like I said, it's euphoric. I mean, since 1996, when
we have nothing on me, so please give us a summary of what you said.
Oh, he was just thanking the chiefs and people in the Dangbe lands for their support, essentially, to the victory of the NDC. That's the
translation.
Yes.
I didn't ask them to meet you and lynch you.
They didn't affect me.
Okay. That's okay.
The message wasn't for you, it was for the Dangbe people.
Right. Okay.
But the victory is euphoric. I mean, since 1996, when we've had both parties compete for parliament, nobody has had this level of majority. Nobody's had 2/3. at our last count, we have 188 seats. 2/3 of 276 seats in Parliament is 184. And so the NDC, truly, for the first time, is in a comfortable lead. However, where I see it, this has put me in a very reflective mood and has really humbled me. Because it's humbled me to realize that the Ghanaian people may be slow to anger, but when they rise in righteous indignation, no force in this world can stand before them. Listening to President Akufo-Addo on Monday call John Mahama his friend of over 20 years made me realize that the die was cast and that President Akufo-Addo had seen his smoothness level. When President Mahama was campaigning and came to my constituency in Ingo Pram, he said he wasn't going to debate. He made a statement that he was never going to debate Baumia because he knows his level. Akufo-Addo has seen his level. You know, the arrogance and the haughty pomposity with which he said he will not hand over to John Mahama. I can never hand over to him. But, well, now you are going to hand over to him. Go and drink the Kole. You would hand over to John Mahama. Because that's the power of the Ghanaian people. But like I said, it humbles me to know that the people who have humbled and given Akufo-Addo a lesson in humility, in 4 years will go back to the polls again. And so President Mahama and all of his appointees and all of us in government,
including your good self.
Yes, that's why I said all of us, myself included, would need to learn that we hold and wield power in trust for the Ghanaian people. And that ultimate power rests with the Ghanaian people. You know? And to whom much is given, much is expected. The level of expectation that Ghanaians have placed on us. And I was speaking with a few senior clergymen who we've worked with in the lead up to this election. You know, I've organized a number of meetings of the clergy with President Mahama.
Not Nyansafwe,
well, I won't go there.
Yeah, but someone wants to get the term president to sign the LGBT.
No. It's up to him.
Mr. George, proceed.
It's up to him to sign.
Gentlemen, please.
He brought us into it, so.
Mr. George, proceed.
And some of the clergymen, I said to them, I said, look, the prayers and counsel that was given to President Mahama in the lead up to the election were the prologue. The main movie is now going to start. They even need to counsel him more and pray more for him because the weight of expectation on his shoulders, only God can guide him to lead this country right. You know why? You're coming from a place where the mess is colossal. The damage is gargantuan. The rot. I mean, when you say it in English, it doesn't cover it well. But you know, when they say it in Chi, Katashishe, Proye, Jrim, Nikankain, where we are coming from. Look, this nation, the Flagstaff House, stinks to the high heavens with corruption. And the weight of expectation from the young people of Ghana, the middle class, the elderly, on the shoulders of this man from Boli Bamboy. And I can call him a young man when you compare his age to Akufo-Addo's age. He's a young man. The weight of expectations upon his shoulder. Only God can guide him. And that's been my daily prayer for him this week. That God will give him the wisdom and the knowledge to know the right people to put in office. And that he himself will show the kind of leadership that the Ghanaian people expect. To everyone who will find themselves in his government, you must learn humility. If you don't have it, go and start learning it. Because we would serve the people of Ghana. The people of Ghana will not serve us. And so look, I wake up sometimes in the middle of the night with trepidation. Because when you understand the weight of expectation, and you look at the fact that the purse is empty. Look, Professor Jampo, Martin Pebu have accused governments in the past of stealing from the purse. The Akufo-Addo government did not steal from the purse. They stole the purse.
But you see, we had
and
this,
so now,
we had this in 2016, that the meat was down to the bone. And we're hearing this now. Some have recommended that for the Ghanaian people to believe this, carry us every step of the way through the transition.
Absolutely.
Let us see it, telecast it live, so we know what you'll be talking about in those small rooms.
You know, Alfred, you know, when they said the meat was down to the bone, yes, but no government, the Akufo-Addo government did not have to, within 18 months of taking over office, pay out over 18 billion in outstanding domestic debts that have been pushed and fast-forwarded to 2026. They did not have to pay in 4 years $4 billion to external creditors, as we would have to do in 2028. Look, the payments, most of the loans that Ken Ofori-Atta took and benefited from personally through his enterprise group, data bank, many of them are due, most of the local ones are due in 2026. That's why President Mahama has written to the IMF and said, look, you've signed a contract or entered a program in with Akufo-Addo, you've disbursed 2/3 of the money already. Meanwhile, you've just done half of the process. And we've got over 18 billion to pay in 2026 and over $4 billion to pay to external creditors. Don't forget that the MPP for the past almost 24 months has not serviced a single foreign debt. And all of that is sitting on our books, accruing interest.
Yes.
John Mahama is coming to carry that burden. And so I agree with you that the next NDC administration, I believe that government must have a ministry, not of information, not just of information, but a ministry of information and public engagement, where we will constantly carry the people of Ghana along, letting them understand what the status and what the issues are. Let them understand where we are as a country. How much revenue have we? Look, and I'm going to share with you. Yesterday, a woman came all the way to Ningo. Yesterday, I started my thank you talk. From here, I'm going to continue today. A woman came to me yesterday with evidence, and my heart broke down. I told her I would speak about it here today. She works at an axle load station. And I now need to please listen to me. She does not work at a start point or an end point. She works at an axle load station midway in the country. In November this year, she was sacked from office, from post, and told to go home, that they can't work with her. You know why? In 2023, her axle weight station, at that time, the person who was managing it was called David Kwashi. And I'm putting out the facts. In January 2023, that axle load station generated 235,266 Ghana cedis. In February, 175,005 Ghana cedis. In March, 323,214 Ghana cedis. And I can give you the whole year. The highest was in December, where it recorded 608,159 Ghana cedis. This was 2023. In 2024, a gentleman called Katako Castro took over. In January, he recorded 365,697 Ghana cedis. In February 2024, 498,808 Ghana cedis. And then in March, from 1st of March to 12th March, he recorded 351,256. Then this lady takes over. This lady, I don't want to put out her name yet. She takes over in March, on the 13th of March. From 13th of March to 31st March, her revenue she generates is 1,266,847. By the time she works in the whole of April, she generates 3,140,831. In May, it drops to 2,140,531. June, 2,018,731. July, 2,653,622. August, 2,908,178. In September, 3,251,256. October, 3,758,378. Between 1st November to 10th November, 1,365,524. Do you realize what was happening? At the average rate of revenue from that axle weight station was 250,000. As soon as this lady takes over, her average is 3 million Ghana cedis. She was called by the Highways Authority and told that she was raising too much revenue because there's a cartel that drains the money that is raised and declares only average of 250,000 every month. One axle weight station. This is one. And so imagine that these vehicles have gone through a number of axle weight loading stations across the country before they get to her place. And from her place, they continue. And this is what the revenue loss is. Because there are people sitting at highways. And the matter went to Asensu Boache. He said he was going to investigate. Because when he saw the figures, look, there is no way you will see these figures and not understand what is happening. Then she was told to go home because she's NDC.
Oh.
Yes. So these are the kinds of slippages and leak in our system that we need to collectively work as a country to plug. One axle load station.
And she was laid off.
Oh, she's been sent home. Since 10th of November, she's been sacked from the Highways Authority. And I would wage a campaign and a war to ensure that this woman is reinstated. Because these are the kind of Ghanaians we must celebrate. In fact, she reported to the BNI in June this year, that her life is under risk because she was told that she must not exceed 1 million again. And when she was given that order, she started getting 3 million. And now they sacked her. The BNI could not protect her. Under Akufo-Addo, I'm talking about 2024. I have the names of the people who were behind this. But you see, like I said, Operation Recover All Loot, Oral, will come after all of them. From the people at Highways Authority who are involved in the scam and the stealing of axle load. So imagine if you had 10 axle weighing stations across the country. And they are making revenue of at least 3 million Ghana cedis in one station. And they are declaring 250,000. Every month. Some people are sitting back and gleaning 2.5 million, 2.75 million from one axle station. Over 10 axle stations, that's 27.5 million Ghana cedis every month. This is what we are bleeding as a country. So when Akufo-Addo said Ghana yenye hiya mine, it's true. Yenye hiya mine. But we have people who have turned themselves into Draculas, drinking the blood and toil of Ghanaians. This is pure fact. The lady came to me, she was crying yesterday. Crying. She said, look, my life is at risk. She can't live in her house. They are threatening to kill her. A woman. Even now.
She's been laid off?
Yes. So you see, this is the weight of cleanup that John Mahama has to do. And that is why you cannot entertain such thievery and such corruption under the next Mahama administration. We would out and fight anybody. Look, and President Mahama has a track record when it comes to fighting corruption. You may accuse his government of corruption. But President Mahama had, and I worked under that administration, he had a sunshine campaign. And you see, I'm sure that today, many of our civil society friends have seen the difference between President Mahama and Akufo-Addo. We call President Mahama corrupt because we're hearing of the corruption, because he was fighting it. President Mahama sacked Victoria Hammer because she had an intention. She was caught on tape with an intention of making $1 million. She didn't make it. An intention. He kicked her out of his government. President Mahama caused his bosom friend and colleague in parliament to be investigated and jailed for lack of oversight. Abu Gapele. Yes, Abu Gapele was not the one who signed the contract. But he was overseeing the agency that signed the contract. He was jailed. That's President Mahama. Meanwhile, they used Jida. As Lauso and Co, they sat on media houses and sang with Jida to kick us out of government. Meanwhile, it was President Mahama's investigation. When Brazil happened, President Mahama asked a revered judge of the Court of Appeal, who again, by the way, has been punished by the Akufo-Addo administration, Justice Senyo Jamefe, punished and overlooked for promotion, because they think that he is not going to play the partisan politicking that goes on at the apex court of our land.
Yes, he's the senior most.
They have jumped over him with several people. They've left him at the Court of Appeal. Justice Senyo Jamefe did a national investigation which was telecast on the Brazil scandal. Elvis Free Accra was moved out of the Ministry of Youth and Sports. When the bus branding issue happened, and it came out at Public Accounts Committee, President Mahama caused Julius Debra as Chief of Staff to retrieve the monies that were paid in excess to the company. That's President Mahama's track record. And caused the late Jifa Ativo to resign. That's his track record. He did not write her a letter calling her my dear Jifa Ativo. As you see Akufo-Addo with Cecilia Dapa.
So the corruption happened. But then
he fought it. When we got wind, again, let me give you another example. When we got wind in the Flagstaff House that there was something fishy going on at National Service Secretariat, he asked the BNI to investigate it, including the director of National Service Secretariat, and 144 others were prosecuted under President Mahama. Yes. Monies were retrieved, people were sent to jail. What have you seen under President Akufo-Addo? The same National Service Secretariat. People are wearing $300,000 wristwatches, sitting there as public servants at National Service Secretariat. Richard Mill, $350,000 wristwatches. Why are they able to afford that? Because every month they have created 40,000 ghost names and are making 27.5 million Ghana cedis.
You're talking about the Fourth Estate
Absolutely. And what did you see President Akufo-Addo? Shield them. They actually went to court and got their cronies in the judiciary to look. We need a proper cleanup of this country. From the judiciary to the security services, President Mahama must purge the judiciary of partisanship. Those who sit in the high courts, in the courts of appeal, and in the Supreme Court, who are playing partisan politics, must be taken off for them to either go and contest as national women organizers or national organizers of the MPP. They have no business in our judiciary. Today, the ordinary Ghanaian does not believe that the judiciary of Ghana can give them justice. And the judiciary is supposed to be the last bastion of hope for the ordinary Ghanaian. Our security services have become so partisan, that you've had to see the security services for the first time vote against their commander-in-chief. President Akufo-Addo lost in every polling station in Bema Camp.
You have that data?
Oh, yes. All the results from Bema Camp, except one.
Mm-hmm.
And there were about 33 polling stations there. They voted. Look, this vote is not just a vote against Bawumia. It's a referendum on Akufo-Addo's governance, of which Bawumia is part of.
Yes. Article 76.
You understand?
Is part of the cabinet.
And so you can't run. That's why I said that, look, the burden on Mahama, you need to clean our civil service. Because you have people, this rot at Highways Authority. It's civil servants.
It's not politicians, essentially.
Look, you see, I've worked as a civil servant before. I worked at the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations and the Ministry of Water Resources before I got into active politics. Yes. And I have a fair understanding. Some of the civil servants are the ones who actually lead the corruption into the hands of the ministers, because they are making 27.5 million on the average every month from about 10 axle weight stations. They find some 1 million and go and give to the minister. He thinks he's excited, and he doesn't look at what is going on there.
That's all.
We need to clean this country. This country needs, look, the young people of our country are angry. One, we need to clean. Two, we need to recover every single thing that has been stolen. Look, and those people who think that they are, and I can tell you on authority, I said this yesterday on another platform where I was with Honorable Andy Apiakubi. We know those who are moving money out of the country.
People are moving money out of the country.
Moving money to the Isle of Man. I'm stating locations. Isle of Man, to Mauritius, to the Canary Islands, to Guyana.
Hey, Guyana.
We know them, and they are moving money. Look, even last week, one of them called a remittance person and said, look, a person who does remittances, look, I need to move 5 million. How can you move it? US dollars. Yes. Look, you can't live to enjoy that money.
Operation Recover.
You will not enjoy that money. And I'm glad that, you see, people said they don't know what came over President Mahama when he came to my constituency during his nationwide tour. When he came to my constituency, that day, he dropped a lot of bombs. That's the day he told Bawumia he won't debate him because he knows his level. Yeah. That same day, for the first time, and that was the only time in 276 constituencies, President Mahama mentioned names of people who have questions to answer. Let your crew take the tape. He did 3 places in my constituency. He did Ningo, did Pram Pram, and Afia. Your crew was there. They should give you the clip from Pram Pram. You will hear President Mahama. He said, President Akufo-Addo, for 8 years, I have been a former president. I lived in Ghana. I didn't live outside the country. So if there was any prosecution or any questions you had to ask of me, I was here. Yeah. You will not go and live in the south of France.
Thank you. Thank you.
That mansion that has been built in the south of France will remain uninhabited. President Akufo-Addo must stay in Ghana to answer questions. President Mahama went ahead to mention Gabi Otridaku as someone who needs to answer questions.
Absolutely.
Mention Ken Ofori-Atta as someone who needs to answer questions. Mention the one who suffered stroke in the UN. Ashanti Medieto. Yes. I said, take the clip from my constituency, Pram Pram, and play it. Let your production go to President Mahama's visit to Pram Pram, to my constituency. Not the first location in Ningo, the second place in Pram Pram. When it was raining, he mentioned the names. These people have questions, and not just them. Others will have questions to answer. You ask yourself, why today the board chairman of ECG, who doubles as the leader of the mini minority in parliament, is seeking to pay a company of almost 270 million Ghana cedis in this last minute?
Well, the information minister says works have been done and certain financial clearance has been given.
The rates are too high.
And so they have to honor the payments.
They have
it is not because there's been a
those
change
payments. Those payments have been pending for months. They didn't pay. They want to pay today. Look, look. If you understand the level of graft and rot, that's why I said others have dipped their hands in the purse. This government has stolen the purse, and it must be a collective work across the nation, civil society, other political movements, and government. We must clean up our country, because if we don't, and you know why I say I'm humbled?
Yeah.
That people of our country, the young people who went out to vote especially, and do you see the strength of the young people standing up to the military?
Yeah.
Standing up to police, looking them in the face and staring them down. In fact, in one instance, a young man held two soldiers who were armed and beat them together.
Sam, can you give me a little second before you continue? On the police, Alfred, just a quick one. You see, once you mentioned the police, there could have been some of the incidents that we witnessed. But on this occasion, I think Ghanaians must stand up to Dampare. The arrangement he made that the National Security Task Force for Election was not going to allow the military to step in except for his command. And he insisted on that. And I'm also happy that the military high command cooperated with him. I am telling you that little bit of arrangement, because I had a lot of personal concern. And Dampare kept assuring us that, don't worry, we will do what we have promised. So if you mention the police, Dr. Dampare, Unia, Radinshila,
Except we also have many things.
So yes, he may have.
The police service is in trouble.
This one, yes.
So let me land. Very angry. Police officers are very angry.
We would need to get to that place where we understand that the young people of our country stared down the barrels of guns to defend this democracy. If the NDC, God forbid, touch wood, fail to meet the expectations of the young people, our democracy is threatened.
There will be serious problem.
And so the survival of our democracy, the survival of the Fourth Republic, rests heavy on the actions of John Dramani Mahama as president.
Absolutely.
And his appointees.
Yes.
No, else our people will lose hope.
Yes.
In this democratic exercise. And that is why we cannot chill. And let me state emphatically, because yesterday, whilst I was walking into the studios of another station, I met Dennis Miracles Abuaji.
Oh.
And we joked and we laughed. And people are trying to misconstrue that. Look, I keep telling people, vengeance is a dish best served ice cold. and like it said in Shakespeare's Macbeth, there is no art to find the mind's construction in the face. So the fact that you see somebody smiling with somebody does not mean that, look, I am a victim of Ayaraso West Wagon. I have been tagged over 100 times in the last 48 hours with people asking me to seek vengeance. My response is simple. Vengeance is of the Lord. Yes. But I am a son of the Lord. And sons inherit their father.
Hallelujah.
I leave it there.
Hallelujah.
Well, someone George.
Praise the Lord.
It's, Member of Parliament for the Ningo Pram constituency. Thank you. Now, for example, he repeated something that consistently you have said, at least over the last 1 month that you have been here, that the survival of this Fourth Republic rests on the next 4 years of John Mahama. Looking at what we have seen now, and already we are hearing a language that we are used to when there is a change in government, that the purse is empty, that the meat has been eaten to the bone. How much of transparency do you expect of this administration to believe what they will tell you about what has been left of us as a country?
All right, so when I became the UTAC secretary, my constituents and people kept singing a lot of praises about me. The reason was simple. I kept them informed about everything that I was doing. Every meeting that I attended, I told my executive committee, I briefed them, I briefed my members. Every issue that I went to discuss somewhere, I ensured that they were brought in the know, into the picture about whatever I was doing. And so some of the things you may consider trivial, but I made sure that they understood me and they knew everything that I was doing. As president of UTAG, I'm still doing the same. And so it is important that we learn, we manage the expectations of people very well by also letting them know the extent to which the system has been corrupted. Okay? So, as you rightly suggested, it is important that all of us are made to be informed or to get insider information about the transition process and arrangements that are going on, so that we get information right from the word go. It is the ability or the preparedness of the new administration to channel information out there to the public domain that would help them elicit the needed support of Ghanaians, so that as they try to reset the country, there wouldn't be much disappointment, okay, in the psyche of the good people of Ghana. Okay, bring them up to speed about what is going on, or how we have dissipated, our resources, how we have allowed corruption and looting to bring us almost to ground zero, and how we are now going to be rising again. Okay, so if we don't do this, then the expectations will still be high. It will be unfair for all Ghanaians to think that just tomorrow, all of a sudden, things are going to be changing. Okay, so it is important that we highlight this, the new government. So you are saying you don't need any, just a minister of information, but you need a ministry that would also be engaging the public. And I think it will be a proactive thing to do, to let Ghanaians appreciate that, look, it's been bad, and then resetting it, we will all have to be involved by offering our support, so that the government would undertake the needed spade work that would help us, all of us, reset, the Ghana to where it is supposed to belong. Then from resetting it, then you can think about the next things that would have to be done to bring about development and improvement in the physical quality of the life of the citizenry. But I thought that this discussion started by all of us looking at some of the factors that accounted for this kind of monumental and unprecedented defeat of the MPP. And I had listed over 100 of them, and yes, I thought you were going to allow me to list all of them here so that they would form the basis of our discussion. But it's okay. My colleagues have highlighted quite a number of them, and I think I may want to. I'll not repeat.
Over 100 factors.
I have all of them here. That led to. So no, we started chronicling these factors right from 2022. Okay, right from 2022, we started chronicling them, and there is a paper that I'm authoring with one of my the people that I mentored. So anytime I get those factors, I push to him that list this, chronicle, put all these things, down, because we'll come back to them, listing, and it's a journal article we write in the factors that accounted for the monumental defeat of President Akufo-Addo, not MPP, not Bawumia, but President Akufo-Addo first, before MPP and then Bawumia. So people have spoken about corruption. You can talk about the Corruption Perception Index of 2016 and compare it Corruption Perception Index now. And they are either going down, we've either gone down, or we are the same. Nepotistic appointments, okay? I will not run a family and friends government. Then you appoint people around you, and then you have some of your nephews and nieces arrogantly telling Ghanaians that, oh, it is because we are appointing people around us in our family because our grandfather took all of us to school. Otimi for to me wa or raw kawa for a bit.
Was
no, I don't know how to say it in English.
But, you know, it has an implication. So what are you implying?
What I'm implying was that at a point in time, they had disrespected us to the point that when they are saying some of these nonsensical things, they do not even have a sense of appreciation that you are even insulting us. When you are saying that you will not run a family and friends government, and then you came, and then you are running a super family and friends government. A government of family, friends, and concubines.
Yes.
Then your nephew comes to tell us that, oh, you are doing so because for you,
yes,
not just there's even one who was made an ambassador to Czech Republic.
You're obstructing the flow.
All of them.
Okay, so you tell us that your grandfather, also your grandfather, he sent you to school, and so that's why then, because all of you are educated, that's how come you are appointing your family people. When you went to school, how did you perform? School, how did you perform? When you went to school, what was your performance? Okay. Both you and then your uncle, what was your performance in school? It's not just about going to school to perform. If you go to school, the school must go into you, so that you use your education to do things, to handle the mandate and the trust and the confidence that has been given to you well. You don't just
from Oxford.
You don't just go to school and then just come and say we went to school, and the school has not gone into you, but you say you went. So bad governance. Okay, so nepotistic appointment and failure of the government to listen to opinion, okay, of the public. And we've always said this. I said even Jerry Rawlings, who insisted that he's not a party, he's not a fan of multi-party democracy, he knew how to listen. He knew how to pander to public opinion. And I've always used the Kumiprekon 1995 demonstration that made Rawlings listen and withdrew the VAT. Okay, you were sacking an auditor general. Civil society leaders came together, Ghanaians came together to tell you that you can't do that. And then you started casting aspersions at them. That you also saying all manner of things at them. Okay, you never listened until the courts told you that what you did was wrong. But around the time that the court gave the verdict, it was too late. And we have a court that has been politicized to the point that they know how to expedite hearing and sitting on certain matters that are partisan, and matters that are of national interest, they delay it in perpetuity. Well, it's up to them. I will not comment, I will not tell them what the government of the day would have to do to them. I leave it to the judgment and the decision of the government of the day as to how it would want to work to ensure that we have a judicial system that we all can trust. I'm telling you, part of the reasons why the elections went the way it went was the fact that people certainly believed that they cannot take their matter to court.
Yeah.
Judges of the Supreme Court, I'm telling you, people felt that they cannot have you guys resolve election petition. That's why the elections went the way it went. People were vigilant. They said they would decide the elections at the polling station. They cannot trust you. And so, if you don't care about your own reputation and image, and you don't care about how you can serve the justice system such that all would have confidence in you, it is up to you. But the new government of the day has a task to ensure that we create or rebuild our justice system such that its verdicts would always be respected by all. There are other factors, so I've spoken about this, and so it ties in the manipulation of the judicial processes and the alleged or perceived packing of the courts by party loyalists. People have spoken about economic indicators, but I think the idea of haircuts, you know, have not been mentioned. Okay, haircuts. You see, if you and DD. You see, if you talk about haircuts, you are not that popular. Okay, the idea of discussing haircut is not too popular because then people say, hey, you have money to go and save and they're giving you a haircut. How about me, who has not even saved? Okay, so haircut was suffered by quote and unquote people who had something to save. But a lot of Ghanaians do not even have much to save. And so it is not something that, but it came out strongly in determining voter behavior among the middle class. Right. Then you can talk about...
so it's saying that the middle class showed up.
Yes.
Overwhelmingly.
It was a battle for survival of the election key makers and middle class. It was a personal battle for their survival. Then you can talk about arrogance. I mean, it's been spoken about arrogance. And in determining who must become your running mate, respectfully, I think that I had a lot of, I'll be honest with you, I thought that Vice President Bawumia was not given the chance to do what he was supposed to do, and that I felt that given the chance, he would have proved his mettle. But I lost a little confidence or some confidence in him when it came to appointing his running mates. I have a lot of respect for both of them. But I thought respectfully that, look, the choice of the running mates did him in.
Right.
Later when Educhum was going about talking, people started clapping. But Educhum, you have somebody like this. A running mate is supposed to add to your votes. A running mate is supposed to be adding votes to yours.
So,
but you brought a running mate who, anytime he spoke, people had to go and interpret or to correct some of the things that he has said. Anytime he spoke, it offended the emotions and sensibilities of people. But compare him to Educhum. Okay, anytime Educhum spoke, he was conciliatory, he was fair, he was calm, firm, and yet assertive. And people were, there was one time that Educhum was talking about free SHS and its dividends, even though I have a lot of qualms about that. But the way and manner he went about it had party communicators telling me that, hey, we didn't even know that some of these things had been done. And they come, but you brought in somebody who rather took away from you. Somebody who, when he had not been appointed as running mate, was able to marshal the media, okay, to project him as an agenda, even when he's not appointed. And that thing was done in a manner that even took away the surprise element. Anytime you are looking for somebody to partner you, sometimes people get surprised. Hey, how come? But this one, he was able to gang up the party itself and to gang up the media to project him. And if you know that you are the one going to be appointed, why do you want to marshal all the media's effort
what will be
in
the
support?
diagnosis of
So
the impact of Dr. Matopoku
my point is that my point is that so anytime he spoke, it's the language, the body language, and the tone that he used offended the sensibilities of many Ghanaians. And I'll tie this in with what I've described as bad presidential temperament. The president himself didn't have the suitable temperament, or still does not have the suitable temperament to become president. Okay, a president must be a father of the nation. You must be sober, you must be reflective, and you must know how to communicate. The only time that the president, for me, communicated to Ghanaians in a sober and somber mood was during the time of COVID. But apart from that, a president who is using his leg to kick cheeks, get up and greet. I mean, respect is commanded. It's not demanded. Okay? Can you go to Ashanti and use your leg to kick him and say, Ashanti, get up and greet me? So he didn't have, look at the language that he used. Anytime he was pushed to the wall, he does not have the suitable temperament to become president. So anytime he spoke, you see a certain boisterousness. But he showed presidential boisterousness instead of being a statesman, fatherly, and being sober and conciliatory. And I don't know. So if you have appointed and surrounded yourself with people who are always beholden, people who are always pandering to fear, people who shake when you speak, then some of these things cannot be corrected. And so his administration makes me miss the days of BJ Darucha. I worked with him when I was at the IE, when he was old.
I see.
Okay, BJ Darucha, the Odei Sykes, the Haruna Esekus, the Ejenim Boatens, even the Damboches, and no, Nintos. Those days, who are you? President Akufo-Addo wanted to appoint Haji Ali Mahama as his running mate. He was told in the face that, look, what do you mean? Okay, but he's surrounded, or he manipulated the selection of the top echelons of the party such that at the end of the day, these top echelons were always under his grip. And so when he didn't have the temperament, and when he was not doing well, and when he was not comporting himself publicly in terms of his utterances, nobody could tell him that, Mr. President, they don't do that. That's why I said the party itself is a conservative party. It has a tradition, and people who know it, okay, are there. They've been relegated to the background. And latter-day saints who know next to nothing about the party's tradition have now been brought to the fore. And so when people are doing things that go contrary to the traditions of the party, they don't even know. So how can they remind or draw attention to the Haruna Esiku, BJ Darucha? You could not do this. Okay? In his face, he will tell you how they form the party, and he will put you in your rightful place. Right. Now, Bawumia also went about campaigning. Before then, the president did this hopeless call when he was asked about fixing the challenges of the country, and he said that we should wait for the next government, to come in. And I said that, look at you, when you are confronted with crisis and you say we should wait for the next government, it's a problem. Then the president, Vice President Bawumia also waged a campaign that never admitted the current challenges, but spoke about new vision. And you see, generally, the MPP focused on winning elections rather than governing. Okay, and it doesn't make sense. Come to the Jampo Consult, who will train you and teach you about how to campaign, okay, in a manner that touts achievement of governance, so that the achievement would speak for you and help you win an election. They focused only on winning elections. And so in that regard, when there are problems staring at us, you discounted those problems, but you outline new vision. Does it make sense? No, does it make sense? Let me tell you, we sat on somebody's application at a certain place. Somebody had done one term of office in an organization, and the person wanted a second term of office. Okay, so I was part of a panel that was reviewing his application. In his statement that was starting his achievement and vision, he admitted certain problems that he encountered. But in outlining his new vision, the new vision never spoke to the problems that he had encountered. The new vision never spoke to the problems that he had encountered. And we said, no, you are not fit for purpose. Right. And so whilst you are outlining a new vision, you should also focus more on addressing or helping to address the current challenge. And once you address the current challenge, then they pay for the current. the solution itself would serve as a campaign message for you, but they were not willing to do that, and so they paid deal. And some of the things that Dr. Bawumia was doing on the campaign platform, I mean, you see, Ghanaians know who you are, okay? And they decided, President Akufo-Addo knew, when he brought you on, everybody knew that you were a gentleman, okay? But he decided to be overly partisan, and so by so doing, he was conducting himself out of character. You just have to be the gentleman that you are. But to go, I don't know who brought the cliche "Mumfasti Anumami," and you are doing that like a child.
No, at some point, he had to own it.
No. Yeah, but my point is that it looks so childish. Mumfasti Anumami. We are talking about governance, and you are a gentleman. You are an accomplished economist, and so speak like that. And don't even do the gutter politics and some of the dancing, offbeat dancing, and going everywhere. You see, it showed many Christians that you are desperate. Okay, many Christians that I spoke to, in fact, the top echelons of the Christendom, were saying that this is a desperate person. You are a Muslim, and we respect you as such. If it is the will of the people of Ghana that a Muslim becomes president, so be it. We have tolerated ourselves and we have coexisted for far too long. And so your candidature was not, and ascending to the throne of presidency was never going to affect the way we have lived together. And so there was no need for you to create that impression. See, that impression of politicians going to pound fufu in the lead up to elections, politicians going to church when they are not Christians, politicians sipping calipo, washing and preparing light soup for people. I mean, these are seen as attempts to throw dust into the eyes of Ghanaians. And so the moment you do that, coupled with the last-minute commissioning of projects, I'm telling you, when I went to my hometown, the famous PAV Ansa Street, Prabil Street, okay, where my family house is, since creation, has never been asphalted. I'm saying since creation. Since the world was created, it's never been asphalted. Just when I was going to vote, it had been asphalted. And so I quizzed the women and the people in the queue. How do you see? Everybody was angry. Because we were coming, yes.
After asphalting the road?
Yes, after asphalting it, it annoyed them rather. I'm saying since creation, it's never been asphalted. But just in the lead up to elections, you asphalted it. And then they said that we'll teach you where power lies. And when we're telling them that Kufuor did this and he lost, in 2008, when we went for rerun, Kufuor immediately suddenly went to reduce fuel pricing. And Ghanaians told him that, so you knew that you had to reduce fuel pricing, you didn't do. And because we are going for a rerun, you've done that. We'll punish you. In the lead up to 2016 election, President Mahama commissioned several projects. Ghanaians said, we don't care about them. And they were not learning. And the childish response, oh, but when the project is done, shouldn't we commission it? You see, when a senseless person tells you you are not sensible, it's painful.
Okay. Last two. Because it's so, 100, no? Last two.
So other major corruption scandals where we sank $58 million in digging a big hole in the name of National Cathedral, where we spent $3 million to produce 200 drones to fight Galamsey, but saw only 3 of such drones, where we spent $12 million for a dam in Pualugu that is never built, where we've used 34 billion cedis or so to address a problem that is worth 6 billion, attacks on media freedom. I've spoken about family and friends. I mean, this and many other things all led to the dissipation, okay? Dissipation of the
119. Somebody said that list. 119 scandals.
Dissipation of public will, and then also you see failed and intangible promises like Agenda 111, 1 district, 1 factory, planting for food. So when they tell you that, yesterday I was telling some students that, how do you feel if you are hungry and I tell you that I fed you? How do you feel? if the president tells you that Agenda 111 is 75% complete, okay, and when his own minister, regional minister, was asked to name one, and he couldn't, and we are talking about hospitals who you built Agenda 111, you are done with 75%. Okay, so I'm asking, so are there hospitals that if you go, and then if you go, you are sick, you have problems with your liver, you have problems with your kidney, they have the machines there. Are there hospitals that are functional? You tell us one district, one factory. Okay, one district, one factory. Then should have solved our unemployment problems. But I go to my district, I can't see any factory. People are in their district, they can't see anything. But you are telling us that you have done it. You see, it's like, so you are gaslighting us. You see, so presidential gaslight is also among one of among the factors that led to the monumental telling us that you have done something. And you are forcing us to see what does not exist.
Okay.
It's also annoying. And so generally, Ghanaians have spoken.
Indeed. And
I like the tone and the appreciation of the kind of mandate that Sam George has expressed.
The expectation, the weight of expectation.
You see, if as you sit here as the host, suddenly, if you are told that you are the owner of Media General, okay, it should make you go to your room to have sleepless nights, to think about then what to do to be able to fit into that position. President Mahama's mandate is unprecedented in the history of politics in Ghana, not in the history of the Fourth Republic. Okay, and so the expectations are high, and the way I see him, I want to believe that he's not going to do politics as usual. I'm sure that he's interested in leaving a legacy that would outlive his name. And so some of us, we wish him well, and we would urge that they never dissipate the public goodwill that have been shown. Not all have the opportunity for second chance in politics, but he's been given that opportunity, and we wish him well. But let me add by saying that the village nonsense of people going to attack state institutions and looting must stop. Okay, it is in our mouth, it lies in our mouth to make such calls, but it doesn't lie in the mouth of anybody who saw nothing wrong with the Ayawaso West Wuogon incident, the Ayawaso West Wuogon violence, to say something. It doesn't lie in the mouth of anybody who did not see anything wrong when party full soldiers stormed courtrooms to free other full soldiers. If you did that, please shut up and allow us to be talking about this. Okay. Because then you forget that it was the nonsense you tolerated that has birthed today's rubbish. Just shut up and allow us to talk. Right. And then also let us make the point that in addressing this matter, we must be open in the way we look at it. It doesn't make sense for anybody to tell me that it's only NDC people who are doing it. It is possible that some NDC people are doing it, but it's also possible that the ruling party, the supporters of the ruling party are also doing it just to make the ruling party, the incoming government unpopular. In fact, it is also possible that some thieves are also cashing in.
In Kaswa, we arrested MPP people stealing from the Agenda 111 place.
And so nobody should sit somewhere and say that NDC should stop or MPP. Let the police do its work. And I like the bit how you ended on Dampare. I think so far he's been excellent. There's been no IGP in Ghana who has been praised even by the opposition. There's been no IGP whose exit was plotted, and the reason was simply because, as for this man, he will not help us to rig an election. And so anybody who say things contrary to this fundamentally refuses to appreciate the fact that if there had been rigging of this election, there would have been implosion in this country. And if there is implosion, you and I would not be sitting here to be talking about some of these things we are talking about. And it's important. It's no, if no. So Martin, let me tell you this.
Had their own this is security.
Well, the NDC, the NDC had their own security.
No. I want
people in the police service who are diploma holders, who Dampari has promoted over degree holders.
Yes.
Well, looking at the police service about
of election security. That's fine.
All right. So let me make my point.
What I know about this election and security management.
Let me make my point.
If you want
so the point I'm making is that the point I'm making is that
you probably would even forgive him for some of the things that you may think. Those ones cannot negate whatever forms he may have.
None of you.
You see, Martin, when you were talking, I just kept quiet. So let me finish. Let me make the point by saying that, look, you, Martin, sitting here, you work with people. When you sent the guy to bring me the cow leg, do you know what he told me about you?
We've gone back to cow leg.
Do you know what he no, so if we want to listen to the comments of the people who work under us, then we would all not be fit to occupy any position. As for people being disgruntled, you'd always have them. And the best way to handle them is to have somebody who will channel all these concerns, bring them to the attention of the boss, and let these things be addressed. You don't have to sweep them under the carpet. But the fact still remains that in the history of Ghana's Fourth Republic, we've had an IGP whose plot was hatched. And the reason was simply because this man would not help us rig an election.
Okay. And it's some 4 minutes to the top of the hour. A number of you, in fact, I have a number of you sending us
Martin, have you seen any IGP who has been paid by the opposition before? I'm asking you.
Gentlemen,
have you seen him? I heard Masami Jemfi openly commending him.
Your microphones
He's junior in the party. He's the communications officer.
Your microphones
okay, so stop listening to people's complaints and then use that as a basis for. I'm telling you that if we were to be listening to complaints about you, you're not fit to be.
TV3 Ghana on Facebook and DSTV channel 279 all across the world on 3news.com. Gentlemen.
The election and his role.
Okay. Now, you send us your thoughts, views, comments, and opinions. In fact, I have 3,766 of your messages so far. I'll do the best I can to read as many as I would. But, Council, I just want a minute or two answer to this so that we can move on to the other issues. Because I still have on the plate the Electoral Commission's press conference last night about some constituencies that declarations have been made. They say they don't recognize those declarations because it didn't follow due process. But you can understand the skepticism that the Ghanaian generally has developed for the political class over time. And so I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who works with one of the agencies in the United Nations. And he said, he was here in this country in 2016, in the run-up to the election. The potent corruption campaign that the NPP ran against John Mahama made him look next to the devil.
Yeah.
And then they come into power, 8 years, no prosecution on not even one of the cases and allegations of corruption against him. He walks squeaky clean, comes to contest an election, and he wins with a historic margin. And then we have seen now a very potent corruption campaign that the NDC also waged against the outgoing MPP government. In the next 4 years ahead of us, what do you want to see in the fight against corruption to convince you that this is really not going to be business as usual, that we use the corruption campaign for politicking, make a government look unattractive, they lose elections, and then you go into what people suspect, a certain silent gentleman's agreement. I won't prosecute you. You also, because you didn't prosecute me, that we go on.
Okay, good. So let me list them first before coming to discussion, because obviously we can't discuss all. The fight against corruption, number one, you and I are, and then Samson Ladia of Joy FM, and also CSOs are on the fight to make sure that the new code of conduct for public officers who have two key provisions: verification of assets when the public officer files his assets, okay, the declaration of assets, and then number two, publication, like we used to do in the PNDC regime, okay, and other provisions. So that's the thing on the law. Number two, we expect swift and effective prosecution of people who have looted the public purse. So let's make a correction to those who say they've seen nothing. At least under the Akufo-Addo regime, we've supported, you remember the NCA case. The NCA case involved at least four, I think at least four of them were convicted. Alhaji Limuna, former Deputy National Security Coordinator, etc., TTV and Co. Yeah, they were convicted because they didn't do the right thing, causing financial loss. Then you remember the venture capital case. Then you remember Sedinam Ationu, that case, right? And Axim. And then some other two cases. So at least let's remember that. It's not bad. It's not bad, though we wish we'll get more. And then also you go to OSP, you see some cases. Also look at Cecilia Adapa, even though she's not been convicted, the naming and shaming every day is good. It's good. So if we look at the NDA case where I went to testify, and then this lady, Napaga Tia Sulemana, yeah, the President Akufo-Addo didn't fire her, but at least she suffered. She was the boss who signed. And Akufo-Addo, because of his friendship with Napaga Tia Sulemana, Clara, she wasn't prosecuted, but at least it will go on her record that she's the one who approved those transactions for which other people are in court. And so you see that something went wrong. And now the Akufo-Addo is leaving. Napagatia, you see, we'll come back to that issue. How come you are not before the court? Even if she never gets prosecuted, it goes against her. So there are a lot of the naming and shaming. You remember when Akufo-Addo took over, you remember the interoperability. NDC said we were going to spend billions of cedis on that thing. And Akufo-Addo, they did it for about $15 million or so. We saved some money. So there were a number of, we saw the transaction.
Can I correct you on that? I beg you, please. The NDC was not going to spend a dime on that. Because it was a BOOT transaction. When you're doing a BOOT, the person who builds the structure, when government is not paying for it, gets a percentage. A percentage of the transaction. So what was used to calculate the percentage the private sector, SIPTN in that case, was going to get was the total value of transactions over a 10-year period, which was the 1.5 billion. Not how much they were going to be paid. Because
we are going to pay.
We're not going to pay. Let's get it clear. Martin, please, let's get it clear. You pay them a percentage. It's like what
no matter how you explain, the thing didn't look good.
Because you listen to the lies of Bawumia. Bawumia paid 5 million for something that the Ghanaian people were not going to pay a dime for.
Yeah, I'm coming to it. The Haftel deal in ECG, I'm coming to it. So we're just saying that those who say they saw nothing, I'm just reminding them that when MPP took over, a lot of deals were scuttled. Please, we can. So I've mentioned this interoperability thing. We've mentioned so many other things. The bauxite. Bahama was giving this bauxite to his brother. Can you imagine? Ibrahim alone, they were going to take the bauxite for one family. Why? So it's good we change Mahama. That one, I'm not apologetic about it. Thank God he has an opportunity. And I came to support him when later I saw that his corruption is less than Akufo-Addo. So, but it doesn't mean that he shouldn't have left in 2016. It's good we saved the bauxite. It's good we saved it. And many other things. So those who are saying they saw nothing, please, I wish we can have a full day on the anti-corruption. Then we'll list everything. So usually when you change a government, you stop the bleeding. When you change a government, you stop the bleeding. So we did well by sending Mahama away in 2016. That one, let's not be apologetic about. We had to stop the bleeding. Now, so going forward, this government, what will we see?
In a minute or two.
Yes. So we are expecting that now that
even where we are, I think we made a mistake.
No. Hey, the bauxite would have gone. The bauxite, you know how much that would have been.
All that's happened.
Oh, no.
Compare all that's happened.
Professor Jampo.
Given where we are now,
Professor Jampo.
We should have kept them.
Professor Jampo.
I'm saying, given where, think about it. Given where we are now,
you know what
we should have kept. We made a mistake. But voting for Akufo-Addo, you see,
He was packaged.
Okay.
Akufo-Addo was packaged.
So I was going to come.
He was packaged. I'm telling you.
Alfred, no, I'm not coming in. You know, Kojotu Mwafo sent me a text for Professor Jampo.
I'll read that.
No.
I have it.
And
let me just say this.
About something he said to you about Akufo-Addo 20 years ago.
Let me just say this. That
you were very happy at the time. And now you realize that he was right. The same way he spoke to
the number of minutes
Professor
I'm going to give to you.
We will not have had haircuts and all of that if Akufo-Addo had not come in.
Hold on. We are all talking over each other. Please.
No, Martin cannot say that we did well.
We have
voted against them.
Yes,
we have what has happened. Compare what has happened.
Okay, so now let me answer you. Let me answer. I'm a lawyer.
I'm talking about.
So I'm now.
Please.
Yes. I'm coming.
Okay, so
I have deducted the minutes that you have obstructed from council.
No, but he was doing same to me. So
no,
I
have exercised discretion.
So I have 1 minute more.
Okay. Sometimes the host can dictate, and then we will have to.
Okay. So in 2016, when we were sacking JM and the NDC, there was no way we could tell that Akufo-Addo will perform well. So who are the crystal ball? Yes, I remember Afoko said it. Remember at that time, I was representing Afoko with Dr. Atupare. Yes, they only said it. Yes, they said it, but we didn't. There was no way we could verify. I was in the thick of affairs when Akufo-Addo had Afoko thrown out, Afoko and Sami Crab, and then Kwabena Japan. I remember Afoko was telling us, me and Dr. Atupare, that look, Martin, you guys don't know Akufo-Addo. Akufo-Addo is worse. Akufo-Addo is the devil himself. He kept saying it, but how could I have known? You see, and because on paper, you see, Akufo-Addo is a lawyer. So there was that natural bias. By 2016, so if I look, I came from the village, practicing law, I was living in my own house, etc.
You see, but your biases for lawyers has also undermined Ghana's democracy.
So I accept.
You have a bias for lawyers.
Now, haven't I gone away from it? Am I not better than all the people who joined in taking away?
Your bias for lawyers has also undermined Ghana's democracy in a way.
Yes.
Because you supported Akufo-Addo.
Yes.
Simply because he is a lawyer.
I thought.
And you have been touting the class he had when he was in
third class. Yes, but so so let's go. So you see that time the bias was looking at JM and looking at Akufo-Addo. Akufo-Addo was a practicing lawyer, etc. He could earn his own income. So I looked at myself. By 2016, I was 9 years at the bar, earning my own income. I didn't need government job, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I thought Akufo-Addo was in a better state to fight corruption. You see, there was that bias. At least I'm better than those who supported him, and when things went south, they have been quiet. Am I not better? I've been sitting here for 2 years, and even before that's every Saturday to Saturday, since December 2022. And before then, I used to come like maybe once a month, etc., and go to other stations. So at least I'm better. Look around those who have been quiet, etc.
Right.
So please, going forward, now that we've voted out this poll, those who are saying nothing will happen, don't forget, now we've stopped Oforiata. When we borrow, Mohammed's brother is not going to get a cut. At least JM will not bring his brother as finance minister. We all know Ibrahim will shy away from that. Or the other brothers, Alfred and the rest. None of them. You look at the thing, there will be no ambulance contract for Mohammed's daughter, Farida, or how did they call her? Obviously, that's why I know there will be no ambulance contract for her. Because in the previous one, we didn't see an ambulance contract, etc. So by stopping Baumia from doing a third term for Akufo-Addo, please, it's not a mistake. We've stopped the bleeding. And you know that our people say that, listen, even within the MPP, there were lots of opposition people. They were being starved. So let the thing go elsewhere. And at least now, as a society, we are stronger. JM will not dare. JM will not dare. And finally, let me say, you know Akufo-Addo's vindictiveness. I told you earlier on. Do you know how he was hounding Bafuboni? Justice Bafuboni on the Supreme Court. He was hounding him, resign. Because you know what he wanted? He wanted that when NDC takes over and then they want to attempt to remove any Chief Justice, etc., Bafuboni will not have a role. Well, let me tell you, that was the plot. Please, Ghanaians, well, so it's good you voted out, what do you call it, Akufo-Addo and the MPP. They were as if they could tell that they will leave. And so they were scared that Chief Justice may be in trouble. And so if Bafuboni is there, Bafuboni may rule against Chief Justice, etc. Can you imagine? Right. I'm telling you this on authority.
Counsel, thank you. Let's go on to a number of your messages. Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, good morning. Togbi, for a number of your messages, in fact, let me read as many as I can. It says, good morning, Alfred. The floodgates have been opened by the masses backed by the strong vigilance of the largest opposition party. I warned Ghanaians as far back as 2016. Why was Happy Akobi and Ohininto silent then? The horses nearly bolted again, thanks to the rank and file. Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, thank you very much.
Is that Nyaho's message?
Yes, that's Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo.
What was he asking about Ohininto?
He says he warned Ghanaians as far back as 2016 about President
So was he warning?
So why were you, the two of you, why were you silent then?
Silent?
I think you give us a
Nyaho knows me very well, and he knows.
Okay.
If you want me, maybe I will need to.
No, we
say
have
one
to.
or
We
two
have to
things.
respond to that.
Definitely, that will not be fair. Once my name has been mentioned,
yes,
I think we'll address
I will
it.
give you the.
Yeah.
Yes,
Don't worry about that. Sir Martin says, good morning. How I wish I could. Okay. He says, how I wish you could give me the audience or platform to give different insights to these events happening. I'm an outsider who is an insider to Ghanaian politics. Can you please reach? Okay. He sent, Kojo Chumbuafo says, Alfred, please tell Professor Jampo to stop insulting my cousins and attacking the academic records. We don't like this open season on us. It's not nice.
Oh,
Kojo Chumbuafo. Thank you. And that was on a lighter note, by the way, just so you put it in context. This one from Kojo Poku is a video you have sent. Unfortunately, I cannot play to understand what you have sent to us. Musa Batua in Aswasi says, I'm not surprised at the conduct of the EC leadership when Afrobarometer report stated that 85% of Ghanaians believe EC is biased. You say, good morning, says, I am trying to stop the payment of $185,000 mobilization in a covered entity. Could you please share the circular against such payments during the transition period? Okay, thank you very much. This one here says, good morning. I'm so happy the MPP lost majority of their seats. This is a clear indication that Ghanaians are looking for the best. The next government must prove themselves, or else in the next 4 years, they'll be dealt a heftier blow than we have seen right now. Ghanaians are awake and, it says, wised up. Thank you. It says, good morning. It says, the honesty of Andy Apiakobi should have been rewarded by the people of Ashanti Achim North. It is not just about money alone. Posterity will judge him right, you say. This one here says, hello, Alfred. Okay. May I use the opportunity to thank you and your team, especially Media Junior, for a good job done on the coverage of the elections. Thank you very much. This one here from Prince Henry Koforidia. Good morning. Suddenly, those who said the NDC should go to court are now running away from going to the court. This word, you say. Professor Kwekwaza, good morning. Professor Kwekwaza is also watching us right now. It says, great discussion. 4 years ago, voters opted for a split parliament. Today, they have decisively shifted to a supermajority. This dramatic swing signals deep frustration with the current governance system and serves as both a mandate and a call to action for the 9th Parliament to implement meaningful structural reforms. Key priorities should include local government reform, legal education overhaul, judicial reform, a comprehensive code of conduct for public officials, which Lawyer Matipebu just mentioned, financial management reform, campaign finance regulation, and anti-corruption measures. Meanwhile, the 8th Parliament must conclude its work with urgency by passing the Constitution Amendment Bill and forwarding it to the President for assent without delay. I see that Professor Kwekwaza is still typing, so when the next message comes, I'll read it. I'll go for this quick break. When we're back, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us.
I'm a Ghanaian and I love luxury accredited faith and I love democracy.
December 7th, Ghana is voting.
Only peace. Peace, I give it to you all.
I love Ghana.
Peaceful election. before, during, and after.
One Ghana.
Peace! Peace to everybody.
One Ghana. Ghana Bakumpe.
This message brought to you from the Lozzy Accra Trade.
Champion! Hey, Walambo!
Hey, Walambo!
Hey, Papa, I asked him to buy me original politics.
Hey, please don't make mistake. Stop, Papa. Open the back, man. And you strong politics, no gala. Hey, Papa.
Papa, can Rofo?
The politics is the original, the first and the best.
What is? Who got also for dear acrobat to use me?
Politics, yes.
Uncle! This Christmas is giving.
It's giving!
Are you ready, kids?
Sis, is the jollof ready?
It must be for kudos!
Jollof is ready!
This Christmas, it's giving the best in entertainment on DSTV. Grab a DSTV decoder or reconnect to your existing subscription and be entertained.
Now this is giving. Thank you!
Find music from the hottest DJs and thrilling live performances from Stoneboy, Kitty, Ketche and Samini, and all your favorite personalities under one roof, dressed to slay in all white. Ain't no party like a 3FM party, cause a 3FM party don't stop. Inviting corporate Ghana to party with staff or clientele, and calling all the girls or the boys. Whether you're getting seats or tables, get those dazzling white outfits and let's party like never before. Tables are selling fast, so don't be left out. Call 0532 200 927 or 0531 100 927. 3FM All White Party. We bring the party, you just bring the vibe. Proudly sponsored by GCB Bank, Frutelli Calipo, Lemfi, Slam Perfumes, and powered by 3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
Mentor is back like it never left with the Switch the Genre episode.
Listen, Kuma, Kila Jimmy, hey, Manyamala, Manyama, no Manyama for Manyama, hey.
This week, the contestants will pick a song and give it a genre twist. Would it be R&B to reggae, reggae to soul? The possibilities are endless. Remember, you have 40% of the power. Voting closes on Sunday, December 15 at 7 p.m. At least one talent will exit the competition. Mentor 13, the rising star.
Mentor 13 is powered by Shaltox Lozenges.
Sponsored by Darlin Lemon Drink, Darlin XYZ Wine, Blue Jeans Energy Drink, Enapa Foods, Frutelli Calipo, Obuasi Nubnawo Mwankasa.
The spotlight is on. Get ready for your best Saturday evening entertainment show.
Welcome to Showbiz 360.
Where we serve you interviews, dance and music, educative, and so much fun content.
Who feed the cow when they eat the lizard?
What's the meaning? Every Saturday, we bring you your favorite celebrities, content creators, and people who keep you entertained on your screens daily. Do not miss with your host, Giovanni Kalen.
Best of entertainment right here, live on TV3.
This and every Saturday at exactly 8 p.m. is Showbiz 360.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Showbiz 360 show on Saturdays at 8 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by
Betway. Winner big.
Cowbell Coffee.
Enadia, mighty power. This is haputi.
Na ka me prayer topic on erade ma me ko delay shows. E bon paya.
It's a me bad delay. I mean, Ghana nyina ye delay. Ha na oba interview and I just say wo ye dru. Me that's.
Me ka just say I'll come on your show.
Me kai pa. Fe me ma me ka chen say na me ko delay shows o ka chen say ye erade na dem be you. Ah say.
Delay mama show na me just say e di na be akodro no. Say your friend wa ma.
Delay show is like the apex. It's one master the answer being CI or carrier.
As when you are GB.
The Delay Show is brought to you by Telecel, Yas Sanitary Pad, NASCO, Betway, Gino, Pepsodent, Delay Foods, Tabia Takum.
The Delay Show, Sunday at 6 p.m. on TV3.
No matter who ultimately wins, you're all winners for coming this far. The winner is Kaiser!
Toppington, it's not just about grades, it's about determination, creativity, and ambition. Toppington coming soon on TV3.
Hi viewers, my name is Defenzi. Have you heard of Cash Out? Yes, I have won on Cash Out. It all started one day, my wife was telling me about Cash Out. I was like, what at all is this Cash Out? Okay, so I had money in my Momo and I decided to give it a try. Then I left off to work and I got a message, wow, 5,000 Ghana cedis. Can you imagine? Next week I did it again and I won another 2,000. That same week, my wife also won another 2,000. Cash Out is real. Wow, I'm enjoying. If you watch TV3, star 439 hash. Star 439 hash. I will do it over and over again. You too can be a winner.
Welcome back to Key Point on TV3. Gentlemen, yes. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook. And Theo watching says, good morning. Please let me chip in this point. Can it be an enforcement that after every election so that all the political parties will be mandated to remove all their posters from every corner of the country to bring cleanliness? Any refusal of these post-election mandate laws by the political parties should be punished. The election is over and we don't need to see these posters all over the place. Thank you. Fred Agbenyo, the MP-elect, the first member of parliament for the Guan constituency, the new constituency created that inched up our constituencies to 276. Fred Agbenyo says, great discussion. My regards to your panelists. Good morning. And thank you very much. There was an appeal that was made on your behalf during the week for the people of the Guan constituency. A number of people responded. There are donations coming in. So, Fred Agbenyo, the 3 foundation here at TV3 would reach out to you accordingly. Thank you. So many of them. Okay, so let me just... Nana? Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo asked a specific question, and it was about, he says, your silence in 2016, because he was very clear about his verdict on President Akufo-Addo. Did you speak at the time? And maybe very quickly on this.
Thank you, Alfred. Of course, Nyaho is my big brother. We have been in touch very closely right up until right now. Nyaho has always known my position within the party, especially when it got to primaries. When between 2005 and 2010, I was the general secretary, of course, I couldn't show any open preference, even though Alan Kyerematen has always been my friend. Of course, once I left office from 2010, anytime Alan had shown interest in contesting presidential primary within the party, I have consistently supported Alan Kyerematen against the Akufo-Addo and others. So if that was not a statement enough, then I don't know what Nyaho is talking about. Okay. In any case, when, even in 2008, Akufo-Addo was a candidate for the election, and I was still general secretary, there were issues that I had to address directly with Akufo-Addo as candidate. And his responses and reactions showed me clearly that the man was not ready to listen to advice. And I won't go into the detail. So it has never been the case that as far as Akufo-Addo's candidacy and Akufo-Addo's presidency was concerned, I have fed into that kind of narrative that Akufo-Addo has been my candidate. No. So if 2016, I was just an ordinary member of the party at the time, I was not in any position in terms of being an active executive. But during the primary, I actively supported the candidacy of Alan Kyerematen until right now, even after Alan left the party and formed his movement for change. I am still with him. So that clearly should show Nyaho and others that some of us had always felt that Akufo-Addo was not the right candidate either for party or for president. But having said that, let me touch briefly on the point that Martin and Professor Jampo were having a debacle over, whether John should have been voted out 2016 or whether he should have continued. I disagree with Professor Jampo. I think that the people of Ghana decide. So they decided that 2016, we had seen a certain kind of governance under President John Mahama. We thought we needed a change. That was a sovereign decision of the people, and they took it. Now, the people get a chance to experience Akufo-Addo's presidency and an MPP government, and decided that, wow, we thought John and his government were bad, but this one is really bad. So then they decide, okay, let's give John another chance. I think that is a major development in our democracy. It's a major statement, you know, because if Akufo-Addo hadn't had the chance to become the candidate for MPP, one, and two, to become president of Ghana, people will write books and say Akufo-Addo is the president we never had. Yes. You know? And Akufo-Addo himself, his family, and the people who feel so superior to all of us, these Chebi people who feel they are the most, I don't know how to describe it, most intelligent, most educated, most qualified to lead. That myth.
So not all Chebi people.
I am saying those people from Chebi who are in government now. Look, let me mention my own very good friend, Atachia. I was very shocked to hear Atachia one day say on public TV that if you take the history of Chebi and Achem out of Ghana, there is no Ghana. There is no history of Ghana. And I was so shocked to my bone because I love Atta. And he's somebody that I have had a very good relationship with. And I thought he was one of the most reasonable people within this Chebi group. And even he could go to that extent, you know. So it was good that Akufo-Addo became candidate of MPP. MPP people have seen his leadership of the party. It was good that he became president of Ghana. Ghanaians have seen his kind of leadership. And those who are very close to him, his family, where everybody in Ghana is being told that this family in Chebi is the superior family to everybody. Now all that has crashed. So I think it is very good, honestly. I really think it is good. Okay. So when we come to talk about the things that have happened in the last 8 years, under President Akufo-Addo and the MPP, I think Ghanaians must draw some serious lessons. People are talking about reconstructing MPP. People are talking.
So they said. So the vice president said this, that they were going to do an honest introspection, regroup, and come back stronger. Dr. Matthew Boku-Prempeh says they're going to do a reflection and then also be able to pull their strengths together and come back. In what form should that introspection and regrouping take? Professor Jampo says all current executives of the party should be sacked. They should just go. Would it be one of your recommendations?
Alfred, honestly,
and rescue the party from the claws of
Akufo-Addo and his remnants.
Alfred, I have some very fundamentally radical thinking right now on the whole issue of multi-party democracy, where the major building blocks for creating government necessarily have to rest on political parties. I think that whole essence of political party in our democracy has to be looked at very critically. Why do I say so? You have parties that pay little attention to the characters, the individual characters who lead the party. So at the constituency level, you have jostling and competition that pays very little attention to the quality of the person who will become an MP. So it is the party vehicle that is carrying somebody. And once they are able to, with whatever means, sometimes, a lot of times financial and others, he becomes candidate, the party vehicle carries the person to become MP. Whether this person really is capable or not. So you go into the political party, and the party is very powerful and strong and has a lot of resources. And somebody inside that party also has connections to resources and influence. So that person, irrespective of whether they qualify to lead Ghana or not, becomes the candidate, and then the party machinery still carries them to become president. I am saying that the political scientists are here with us. Professor Jampo is here. We should begin to take a look at this whole issue of party in our democracy as against the character and competence of individuals. Okay. And how do we get individuals who are competent but do not have the strength and the resources of a political party to put themselves forward?
Right.
Are we talking about simply party politics, or we are talking about quality governance and leadership where democracy is determined by majority, not necessarily by some.
This is a major issue. It's going to be a bigger conversation.
Yes,
because
seriously.
We are just doing a post-mortem of the election.
So really,
I promise that
to that extent, I would not even concern myself so much with re-engineering, rebranding, restructuring a party. That's up to them, honestly.
Okay. So
because seriously, what I am seeing, listen, before I come there, what I'm seeing is that these political parties have not been paying attention to the broader interests of the majority of Ghanaians.
Okay.
They first of all tend to look at the interests of a party and all of the appointments that will come out of a party winning an election, and what that party also does with other people who don't belong to their parties. These are big issues that I think we should look at. So if their interest is, of course, forming a political party is a legitimate thing. It is constitutionally permitted, but the dividends that we are getting as society, I think it demands some serious questioning and some serious reappraisal of what political parties mean and stand for as far as our forward march and our development is concerned.
You Alan Chamanting and others are going to come back to the MPP now that, they're going to do the introspection.
There's a question.
Yes.
That whether we should come back.
Are you going
personally, I don't have any interest at all. I've totally lost interest in going back to the MPP. I have to declare it to the whole country, to everybody who's listening to me.
Lost interest.
I have no appetite to go back to MPP personally. I cannot speak for Alan Chamating, but I or Hininto have no interest whatsoever.
In this current form.
Professor Jambo, I am not qualifying it. I say I have no appetite.
Thank you.
I am not interested.
All right,
thank you. I want to do other things with my life going forward.
Please.
Yes.
Yes.
So that for now, he is not a member of NPP. So we'll leave him to rest.
And I don't want to go back.
And then going back to Professor, in the political science department, I'm senior to him, so he should not forget that also.
Well said.
But he's a professor now in the department.
Yes, he is. But
proceed and make your point.
Now, there was a call from Dr. Nyahu Tamaklo that where were we during 2016? What did he expect us to do in 2016? 2016, I was a candidate on the ticket of the NPP. So I prosecuted the agenda of the party by winning the election in 2016. So I was doing the party's work. Nevertheless, if he had any views about then candidate Akufo-Addo, I don't think that I would have been in a position to predict the performance of President Akufo-Addo to have said anything contrary to what other people knew and what I also knew as a person. And being a party person, I will always upheld.
Alfred, let your people correct my surname. My surname is Ohininto.
Yes, please.
Not Into.
I
let them do it because they are on air with the wrong name.
We will correct that. Thank you.
Good. So there was nothing that I needed to have done that I didn't do. I worked within the party, the structures of the party, albeit that I am also sharing my disappointment as what has happened in the presidency and what I expected would have happened. Nevertheless, I have no regrets whatsoever supporting the candidature of then candidate Akufo-Addo, because at the time I believed that the deliverables that we expected would come under his administration. More so, we have had elections. The people of Ghana have spoken. We are all making some allegations these allegations will not constitute, all of them put together will not constitute evidence. Let's go to the courtroom and prove the allegations we have made, and let's also seek sanctions for people who fall foul to the allegations or to the charges they face. It is not enough to say that because this man is better than that man, whatever wrongs he has committed, let's sweep under the carpet and let him continue.
Right.
Let us go to the extent of bringing out those culprits and letting them facing the law, and let the law take its course, and let people also face sanctions. Indeed, the beginning of creating wealth is saving that which you have. If we cannot make any difference at all in bringing new wealth, let's save that which we have. And if, as my colleagues have been saying, they know that they have evidence that people have unduly amassed wealth at the expense of the state.
Right.
Let those people gather the courage. Let the prosecution also do its work, and let us get these monies back.
Okay.
Then we can have a sound footing to take off. And as I've always said, let's be careful going forward. And again, Nana Hinto said that quality is important in management. It's always important. If we continue to nominate, select people without the necessary competence, we will also harvest that which falls short of expectation.
Right. Thank you. Some 25 minutes to the top of the hour. And you're also live here on KeyPoint on 3FM 92.7 as well, and TV3 Ghana on Facebook, and a number of radio stations across the country. The next issue, yesterday before we went to bed, and that press conference was live on TV3 by the Electoral Commission. They gave their verdict on declarations that have been made by their own electoral officers and returning officers for the constituencies, that they said they do not recognize the declarations made by their officials. They mentioned 4 constituencies in the Greater Accra region. That's the Okaikwe Central, Tema Central, Dom Kwabenya, and then also Ablekuma North. They say that their officers did that either under duress, and some of them threatened with an axe. And also the fact that due process wasn't followed. So the declarations of Ebi Bright, Irabna Orban, and Faustina Kurugu, and then also, yes, all of them, those 4 are illegal. Take a look.
The purpose of this press conference is to provide an update to citizens about the collation of results in a number of outstanding constituencies. As you may be aware, at the time of the declaration of the presidential results by the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, the presidential results from 9 constituencies had not been received. In addition to that, parliamentary results from 12 constituencies had also not been received. The facts are as follows. After close of polls on Saturday, the 7th of December, the collation at constituency collation centers began in all 40,648 collation centers, as expected. The Commission had put in place a robust mechanism enshrined in CI 127 to ensure the accurate but timely collation of results. It is therefore the conclusion of the Commission that the collation and declarations which did not follow laid down procedures are illegal and cannot be upheld by the Commission, since the processes for collation and declaration as set out in CI 127 were violated and not followed. It is instructive to note that as a result of the disruptions that took place during the recollation and to ensure the safety and security of our staff and the collation and declaration processes, the Commission agreed with the Ghana Police Service to relocate the collation center to the Tesano Police Depot. The Commission duly informed the political party leadership to provide the names of 2 agents as required by law. The collation at the Tesano Police Depot was observed by party agents for the 4 constituencies, namely Fantiakwa, Akwetia, Sum, and Nzawam Adwejiri. With the exception of the Nzawam Adwejiri constituency, the collation was successfully concluded in the other 3 constituencies. The collation process was far advanced for Nzawam Adwejiri constituency. However, the political parties agreed to return today, Friday, 13th December 2024, to continue with the regulation. The process, however, stalled because the police indicated that the environment was not conducive to enable them provide the needed security in light of the impending threats by the political party supporters. They indicated that per their situational analysis, there could be loss of lives if the regulation was allowed to continue. The EC has maintained, however, that the regulation is not illegal and it is within its mandate. Some have alleged that the choice of the Tesano Police Depot as the venue of the regulation is illegal. This is false, as the Commission is not required by law to gazette collation centers. What is important is for the Commission to inform the parties about the collation centers, which has been done. This was done in the case of the Tesano Police Depot, and the agents of the political parties were there to observe the collation and declaration. We urge all stakeholders, especially the political parties, to cooperate with the Commission to complete the process in the following areas: Nzawam Adwejiri, Ahafo Ano South West, Ahafo Ano North, Obuasi East, Techiman South, Domi Kwabenya, Okaikwe Central, Ablekuma North, and Tema Central. And these are the details of the destruction of the collation centers in these constituencies. In Nzawam, the collation center was besieged by hundreds of party supporters who violently impeded the collation process and brought it to a halt.
So that's some more there. So even though Dom Kwabenya for Sinakurugu has been declared by the EC officer there as the MP-elect, Okaikwe Central, Baba Sadiq, Ablekuma North, Irabana Obin, Tema Central, Ebi Bright. The Electoral Commission, as you heard there, said it did not follow lay-down processes because their officers were threatened. And then in some cases, they said Tema Central, another returning officer, not from Tema Central, declared Ebi Bright the winner. And so they don't recognize that. But we see that that same process was applied in Damongo. They didn't mention Damongo, you know, that process is illegal. So you heard Samotete mention a number of constituencies that they say they're going to go and do recollation. But I want to find out if there's a provision in the law that allows for recollation, as in CI 127, specific.
Okay, thank you. Can I just look at CI 127? And Alfred, let me state emphatically without a shadow of doubt, you know, the likes of Samuel Tete and Bosman Asari and Jean Mensah, but for the hand of God on this country, would have driven this country into chaos. The days of them serving partisan political interest of the NPP at the Electoral Commission have come to an end. Look, Samuel Tete, read my lips. That press conference is as useless as the Bola dump. I'm telling you.
No.
Look, Samuel Tete has no power. Please, Alfred, please. Samuel Tete has no power to make the determinations he is making. They are inconsequential, of no substance, will not be adhered to by anybody, and let him mark it today. He should begin to resign from the Electoral Commission. But Rabina Obin, Fosina Kurugu, Ebi Bright, and Baba Sadiq will be sworn in as the members of Parliament.
What they say is they
for
don't
their respective Samuel Tete is not the law. And the law, look, if Samuel Tete does not take, look, the soldiers he walks around with, the soldiers will run. They will pick their boots and run.
So what is the position of the law? Let's get into it.
43. Section 43. CI 127.
Regulation.
Regulation 43. 43. On page 31. Subject to Regulation 42. Immediately after the results of the poll for the polling station in the constituency of the returning officer have been given to the returning officer, the returning officer shall, in the presence of the candidates or the representative of the candidates, or not more than 2 counting agents appointed by each candidate, A, assemble the results from the polling stations without recounting the ballots in the ballot boxes, except where there is a challenge by a candidate or a counting agent in respect of the specific ballot box. B, fill the parliamentary election results summary sheet as set out in Form 1D of the schedule. C, give public notice of the total number of votes cast for each candidate. D, publicly declare as elected in the parliamentary election the candidate who had the highest vote. Then it goes on and about the rest there, about filling out the forms. Now, the returning officer has the mandate to declare the winner of a parliamentary election. Jean Mensah, Bosman Asari, Samuel Tete are not the returning officers in parliamentary elections. In fact, the district director of election is not the returning officer. There's a constituency returning officer. When that officer makes a declaration, the only way you can invalidate that declaration is by going to court within 21 days. It's clear. 21 days. It is not in the mouth of an MPP-sponsored Samuel Tete to go and hold a press conference and say that he is invalid. He has no such power. And that's why I say to him that this look, if he has taken money from the MPP to stop us from getting 2/3 of parliament, he should return it. He will vomit that money.
He says Okaikwe Central 110. He said you were there because when think of things.
I handled Okaikwe Central.
Yes, at that.
Yes. In Okaikwe Central, there are 141 polling stations.
Yes, you said 110.
110 polling stations were used to declare. You know why? In 31 polling stations, the pink sheets, the sheets that were brought, you had the same handwriting on the pink sheet. You have 31 officers in 31 different polling stations, the same person writing on the same sheet, and the numbers that were brought were different, completely different from what was on the pink sheets that the NDC had. And you know, the beauty of this thing is this. Pink sheets are duplicates. What the parties hold are duplicates. Now, when the original is written on, we all get the duplicate. Once you get the duplicate, if you try to alter that duplicate, it will be seen that there has been a change. However, the EC's own is the original sheet. That can be changed at any point in time because it's not a duplicate. When they came there, we had our pink sheets. The MPP claimed they didn't have their pink sheets. Then the EC brings out 31 altered pink sheets with the same handwriting, same signatures. Yes, which were different from what we had on our carbon copy, which you cannot change. And our carbon copy had no editing on it. So we refused. Madam Pinkra, who is the EC regional director for Greater Accra, she was shocked. In fact, her comments were, "This is criminal." And she said that she wanted to hand it over to the police to investigate. And we said to her, Madam, the investigation is a criminal matter that will happen. That cannot hold the returning officer from declaring. So since there are 110 out of 141 where there are no issues, you would declare on the basis of that. Any other person who has a challenge on the 31 can go to court. And on the basis of that, Mr. Degenu, who is the returning officer for Okaikwe Central, proceeded to make the declaration of Baba Sadiq Abdullahi as member of parliament elect for Kaikwe Central.
And this was at the EC's
at the Greater Accra Regional Office. And okay. I'm repeating it again. Not Samuel Tete, not Bosman Asari, and not Jean Mensah. Look, and on this panel, people have congratulated Dampare. And look, in my constituency, there were attempts for violence there. He intentionally sent in men to the polling stations where I spoke about. So I give him credit for that. But Masa Dampare, don't allow anybody lead you down the wrong road. Because the power of the people and the anger of the streets will consume the entire Ghana Police Service if you try. We will not allow any human being in this country, not even John Mahama, to recollect Okaikwe Central, which has been declared, to recollect Ablekuma North, which has been declared, to recollect Tema Central, which has been declared. And to even hear that they want to, they are thinking about Domi Kwabinya. Look, Mike Okwe Jr. came to the regional office, and the EC director, Madam Pinkra, told him point blank that there is no way she can go into a recollation because the results were declared at the district office. So Mike Okwe left.
At the Greater
Accra place. So, look, the regional commander of police, Mr. Ahen, DCOP Ahen, was present when we did the declaration of Akaikwe Central. He was present when Mr. Opong, who is the returning officer for Ablekuma North, did the declaration. Why have they not mentioned? Look, they went and did something illegal at the police training college. Fantiakwa North. Fantiakwa North was recollected yesterday, and
no, that was 2 days ago.
2 days ago. And let me state emphatically, Fantiakwa North was declared in Fantiakwa North.
So here's what happened.
The NDC parliamentary candidate was declared. Then they bring somebody else who is not the returning officer for Fantiakwa North to the police training college yesterday, school, to declare 2 days ago, to declare the MPP candidate. We will swear in on 6th of January the NDC candidate, and nobody will stand in our way. Again, they tell us that Abu Jinapo, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, is MP elect. His declaration was done without the media present, without the NDC. When we read this, there must be the presence of the candidate. Yeah. Okay, it was done by another district's returning officer in the dead of the night, without any representation from Galus, our candidate in Damongo, and yet the EC doesn't say that they are going to recollect that one. We as a party have said we are going to go to court. For Damongo. Okay. We will also challenge whatever, in fact, whatever has happened at Fatiakwa North recently, 2 days ago at the police, is of no consequence. We won't consider it as any action. Well, it's an illegality.
The EC said,
so the point we are making
on Monday,
yes,
of your candidate in Fatiakwa North was without 2 polling station results.
Once the declaration has been done, look, let me read. You know when Techiman South happened, the NDC as a caucus, that time Haruna Iddrisu was our leader. We did a walk to the EC office and presented a petition. Now let me read paragraph 13 of Jean Mensah's response to the NDC parliamentary caucus in 2020. 13. Recollation can be done at all levels when requested before the declaration of results. However, once election results have been declared, a dissatisfied party cannot request for a recollation or recount of the results. This was 2020 on Techiman South, where they had killed people, and we had raised. In fact, Haruna led us to march from Parliament as MPs to the EC office, and this was her response to our petition. The 2020 election was conducted with CI 127. The 2024 election was conducted with the same CI 127. So on what basis is Samuel Tete, Jean Mensah, and Bosman Asari saying that they are going to do a recollation? Look, we are waiting for them. But this is a clarion call to all members of the NDC and all supporters and lovers of democracy. Any day that the EC declares, wherever they declare, let us mass up in our numbers and ensure that they do not steal any of the seats. If anybody has a challenge, they should go to court. But I dare warn and I dare sound a note of caution. Anybody who tries to do a recollation will laugh on the wrong sides of their mouth. The violence that we have all tried to stop in this country, nobody should try to bring that violence here, because the anger of the people will consume them. We will not allow them to do any collation. So anybody who has a problem, listen, again I repeat, on the 6th of January, when we meet to dissolve the 8th Parliament and swear in the 9th Parliament, Faustina Elikplim Akurugu will be sworn in unless in 21 days anybody is able to go to court to get a court injunction. So I'm very clear, because that's what the law says. 21 days. Faustina Elikplim Akurugu is the duly elected member of parliament to be sworn in for Domi Kwabinya. Ebi Bright is the duly elected member of parliament to be sworn in for Tema Central. Baba Sadiq Abdullahi is the duly elected member of parliament for Kaikwe Central. And Irabina Oben is the duly elected member of parliament to be sworn in for Ablekuma North. And let Samuel Tete come and explain to us why we have the declaration sheets from their EC officers. How does he say that they did it under duress? Look, let me give you a typical example. The returning officer for Ablekuma North was present on Monday at the regional office. We could not finish the declaration. In fact, on Ablekuma North, if I remember, has 281 polling stations, 280 plus special voting, 281. As at Monday evening, 9 p.m., we had done the recollation of 219 polling stations. The presiding officer, who Samuel Tete claims did it under duress, went home. And came back again on Tuesday to come and continue. If he was under duress, if he was threatened and he went home on Monday, why did he come back on Tuesday? When he came back on Tuesday, Ekwia Free, the MPP PC, created violence. He left. When he left and finally the regional director came, and let me salute Apostle Watson of the Electoral Commission. He guided the process when the regional director, Madam Prenka, ran away. He guided this whole process. And when finally, after about 6 hours, we're now ready to proceed, the police commander, Greater Accra commander, DCOP Ahen, picked a phone and called the returning officer. The returning officer left Kwashiman, came to the regional office. The regional commander, DCOP Ahen, in his own police vehicle, GP32, went to the regional office, picked the returning officer, drove with the returning officer back to the Greater Accra office, and then now called his 2IC, the 2IC for Greater Accra, Mr. Akuno, was the one who called Ekwia Free, and Ekwia Free and her people came. We waited for 1 hour, 15 minutes. All of this, if the presiding officer was under duress, would he have gone back for the regional police commander to bring him? I mean, look, Samuel Tete, Masa, Onupa Ajibo, come on, Adukwe, like we said, they should begin to write their resignation letters.
You made your point. Someone at George, thank you. And Nano Henito, thank you very much. And then Andy Apiakubi, thank you very much. Also to you, Lawyer Martin Kwebu, thank you very much. A number of you reached out messages about the issue that Lawyer Martin Kwebu referenced on the Bank of Ghana case. I only disassociated Media General from it, not to indicate that what you were saying was, you know, but it's just disassociated Media General's association with it, and the fact that we cannot also individually authenticate that. That's also important. Professor Jampo, thank you very much for making the time to be here. On behalf of the rest of the team, I want to say thank you. We are back next week. Key Point continues. Have a great weekend. The sun rises, there is hope. While this hope lingers on, the citizens look up to the government, the economy, the national development agenda, and everything in between.
On Ghana Tonight, it's our utmost priority to bring you insightful conversations on the economy, break down the biggest issues while setting the agenda for transformation and national development. The big and important stories are treated from the human interest angle, while the facts and the figures are painted with precision. So now, let's cut the convention and start the